meeting for the Francis Howell School District. For everybody in our full room, I want to give you a heads up. We're moving towards a moment of silence. So if we can prepare ourselves for that. Before we get started, I'd like to ask that we observe a moment of silence for Latreia Hughes, a Francis Howell Union student who passed away this month in a tragic car accident just weeks before her high school graduation. Let's take a moment to silently honor Latreia Hughes. We are thankful for the life of Latreia Hughes, for the way that she blessed this community, her family, and friends, and we share with those who know her the most in grief as we collectively seek comfort in one another. Once again, we are thankful for the life of Latreia Hughes. Thank you all for that moment of silence. Our next moment in our agenda is to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Our pledge leaders for tonight's meeting are from Fairmount Elementary School. We are proud to welcome student council members Juliana, Aubrey, Deacon, Valentina, Sawyer, Maria, Elliot, and Elizabeth, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And board, starting with Director Owens, we have a vision of the kind of school district we want to be in 2030. We have a strategic plan. And this is part of the vision of who we want to be in the year 2030.
Recognized as one of the top 5% high-performing districts in the state.
The employer of choice for talented educators, leaders, and staff.
Fiscally sound with a track record of smart, long-term planning.
Known for graduating well-rounded students who are equipped with the skills and experiences they need to be successful in the world.
Celebrated for the work we've done on our culture, morale, and ensuring all members of our community feel safe and welcome.
And trusted by families and the community to make good decisions and do what's best for students.
With this as our goal, we have developed an agenda tonight to bring us closer to what we're hoping to achieve. Board, I have a motion to approve the agenda for May 21st, 2026 as presented.
So moved.
Vice President Greider, followed by Director Dillard. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Next, we have our strategic plan spotlight, and Ms. Joles, Chief Communications Officer, will present. Ms. Joles.
Thank you, President Blair. Hear me now? There we go. So on this slide, we're just showing some photos from our strategic planning team. The larger group met on April 21st for its annual check-in meeting. And so you can see here a collection of photos. This is a group of parents, students, community members, and staff, many of whom were instrumental in the development of the strategic plan back in 23 and 24. So during this 2-hour event, the team broke into small groups and traveled around to each of the pillar leaders to hear an update on the work completed in year one, and more importantly, to provide input on where to focus our efforts next. Our pillar leaders are now working with their smaller pillar teams to process that feedback and identify the priorities for year 2 of our plan. And so really tonight, just want to give a big shout out to all those who participated and provided input, and to the pillar leaders over here for facilitating those important conversations. And with your permission, I'll move right into board recognitions. So tonight, we are excited to celebrate another national championship team from Francis Howell High School. The Golden Girls dance team is widely recognized for their consistent and spirited performances at the Universal Dance Academy, or UDA, Nationals. In February this year, the Golden Girls clinched the Division I Hip Hop National Championship. This victory highlights the team's continued success in national competitions, showcasing expertise in technical hip hop routines. And I'll ask Principal Dr. Dave Wedlock to come forward to tell us a bit about the team and introduce the head coach. Dr. Wedlock.
So I'm happy tonight to present the Viking dance team known as the Golden Girls. They're all the way in the back in the white jackets. And recognize our outstanding coaches, head coach Lena Wimmer and varsity assistant Erin Ruggieri, whose leadership has helped shape this group of young women into exceptional representatives of their team, their families, and of course their school. In speaking with the team members, it's clear that becoming part of this program is often a lifelong dream, one that begins with elementary camps, continues in junior Vikings, and culminates in earning a spot in the high school team. Once here, the focus extends far beyond competition. The program centers on developing life skills like time management, teamwork, accountability, and the discipline required to work hard toward a shared goal. I can personally attest to the many hours of work that goes into this. I can honestly not tell you how many times I've heard this year's Goo Goo Dolls song rafting through the hallways into my office, but I'm fairly certain at this point that the plays alone qualify me for honorary Spotify Premium Platinum status. So, off the competition floor, the team continues to exemplify excellence by achieving high goals, maintaining outstanding attendance, and making choices that positively impact their classmates, the hallways, and the community. One of the most powerful strategies that I heard over and over about this team is about their use of vision boards, which identify daily habits and mindsets that are required to become a champion. My favorite part of this vision board was centered around how they imagined celebrating what they would achieve if they achieved their goal. The team knew that UDA national champions at Disney World received white jackets, again that they're wearing tonight, to commemorate their accomplishment. So for months leading up to the competition, they pictured themselves riding the Tron roller coaster with those white jackets flying behind them like superhero capes as they raced across the Orlando sky. It was a fun and powerful vision that inspired the team to give their best every single day. That's wonderful. So that commitment paid off in remarkable ways. This season, the team won every hip-hop competition they entered, including the High Point Award at the prestigious Lindbergh Invitational, where they scored the highest of all the teams there. Most impressively, of course, while we're here tonight, they added another national championship to the program's history, adding to the 2022 national championship already accomplished. So with that, I will pass it along to Coach Lena to share more about this incredible team and their accomplishments.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm actually the assistant. Elena is homesick. So she just had a few words to say, but just thank you guys for the recognition of these 13 incredible athletes that have made up the 25-26 Golden Girls dance team and your national champions. Dance is often a sport that gets lost in the shuffle, and we have been fortunate enough to not feel that way in our community in this room due to the outstanding support that we feel consistently. This program holds deep pride in our school, and having the opportunity to be one of the few teams that is being able to represent at the national level, it brings a whole new level to school spirit. These athletes competed, like you said, 3 incredibly long days at ESPN in Orlando. Those days consisted of the earliest of wake-up calls before the sun, hours of practice, competition, and remaining composed and proud. They took on 45 teams in our small varsity Division I hip-hop category and 3 rounds of steep competition, and they came out on top. The success of this program year after year would be nothing without the administration that surrounds us. We give huge thanks to our athletic director, Jake Adams, and Gina Kearns, and not only their operational support they offer us daily, but the personal connections they have formed with us coaches and athletes that allow us to feel like we are an important part of what makes the H. 5 years ago, we stood in front of this same board and pleaded to attend nationals amidst a global pandemic. It was in that time that you guys took a chance on our team and have continued to support us since. We feel confident that Howell is the greatest place to be, and there is no other school we would rather represent. So thank you guys for celebrating us today.
So what we're going to show, this is actually a clip from the winning performance up here.
From St. Charles, Missouri, Francis Howell High School.
why I get broke.
Let's go! Holiday season. Let's go!
Okay, whoa, holiday. Wait, hold on, holiday. Bring that. I'm a bad bitch. I'm a bad bitch. Now I'm a bad bitch. 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 I'm a bad It's like I just single-handedly annihilated, you know, every half to the building. It's like, annihilated every half, It's like I just single-handedly annihilated every half to the building.
That was Francis Howell High School.
Sorry I missed your pre-party.
Oh, you're okay.
What an awesome recognition for you all.
Thanks.
Back a little bit. That way we can all be close and good to go. Just like we did earlier, ladies. Make sure your head's where everybody can see you.
As you should.
You might need to switch with somebody because you're being blocked.
Let me scooch down.
Actually, like right here would be perfect.
In between these two?
Yeah, in between these two. Yeah.
I'm gonna come back in between.
I know.
Sorry, I'm gonna be a pain. All right, guys.
Right here.
Go. There you go. On tippy toes. Good job. Everybody can be seen. Ready? Say Tron. Awesome. Thank you guys.
What's right?
No, I love running.
Way to meet your goal.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys so much.
It's like national when I got the trophy. I was like,
Here, I can take it. Thank you guys so much. Can you show her?
Thank you again, and congratulations to the Golden Girls. Up next, again, Ms. Jules.
Yeah, we have more recognitions tonight. I think we want to see Superintendent Delaney try to do that dance, though. We want to take a short break for that.
never be able to move.
I think it'd be great entertainment. So as you can tell, we have packed the boardroom tonight with high-achieving high school students from across the district who have racked up a number of honors this year. In just a moment, I'll invite each of our high school principals to come forward and introduce their students. But first, I want to share just a little bit about each of the achievements that we are going to highlight. We had 4 Francis House students this year who earned a perfect score of 36 on the ACT. As you probably know, the ACT is one of the most popular standardized tests used for college admissions. It comprises tests in English, math, reading, and science with scores ranked on a scale of 1 to 36. To achieve a perfect score of 36, a student must answer every question correctly in all 4 required areas. Roughly 1/4% of students who take the ACT across the nation receive a top score of 36, so it is indeed a rare feat, and we have 4 of them in our district tonight. We are also recognizing 7 National Merit finalists tonight. To become a National Merit finalist, students must submit a detailed scholarship application in which they provide information about their academic record, participation in school and community activities, demonstrated leadership abilities, employment, and honors and awards received. A finalist must have an outstanding academic record throughout high school, be endorsed and recommended by a high school official, write an essay, and earn SAT or ACT scores that confirm the student's earlier performance on the qualifying test. Only about 1% of college-bound high school students are chosen each year as National Merit finalists, who then go on to compete for a variety of National Merit scholarships. 4 students are being recognized tonight as Missouri Scholars 100. This is a statewide program that honors 100 of Missouri's top academic students in the graduating class. The program is sponsored by the Missouri Association of Secondary School Principals. Schools across the state are invited to nominate candidates, and selection is based on a formula that uses the student's grade point average and ACT or SAT score. The student must also have excellent attendance, be an exemplary school citizen, and be involved in school activities. 70 students from our 3 comprehensive high schools were named AP Scholars with Distinction. That is the highest level of honor for the AP program. They had to earn an average score of 3.5 on all AP exams taken and score above a 3 on 5 or more AP exams. There's a lot of numbers in there, but super smart kids here. We will also be recognizing 3 St. Charles County STEM Award winners tonight. Each year, 1 student from each of the county's public and private high schools who have demonstrated outstanding performance in STEM-related pursuits are brought together for a breakfast and award ceremony organized by the Economic Development Council of St. Charles County. Students enjoy a buffet breakfast and hear from a panel of professionals who work in STEM-related fields. Also tonight, we will recognize 7 early college program graduates. These are students who will be graduating high school next month and earning an Associate of Arts degree from St. Charles Community College at the same time. Finally, we will honor our senior class presidents from Francis Howell Central, Francis Howell High, and Francis Howell North. These students juggle all the typical demands that come with high school. They keep up with coursework, participate in sports and activities, preparing for college or whatever comes next, and trying to maintain a social life and spend time with family. And on top of that, they dedicate countless hours to representing their peers as senior class president. This is a role that is quickly coming to an end as they prepare to walk across the stage in just a few short weeks. And actually, their last day was, I think, May 15th, so they're really ready for graduation. Due to other commitments, we know not all students who receive these honors could be here with us tonight, but we will recognize those who are in attendance. And I will invite our first principal, Dr. Rob Goff, to the podium to introduce the students here tonight from Francis Howell Central. And students, after you receive your certificate, we want you to just walk to the front of the room and we'll take one big group photo after all names from your school have been called. And parents, at that time, you are welcome to also come forward and take a group picture if you would like.
Good evening. I'm just honored to be here to represent Francis Howell Central. Our first student, Shane Burcoyne, AP Scholar with Distinction, Perfect ACT, and National Merit Finalist. Kennedy Burton, Senior Class President. Llewellyn Dagney, AP Scholar with Distinction. Declan Fowler, AP Scholar with Distinction. Lucinda Griesenauer, Perfect ACT score, National Merit Finalist, and AP Scholar with Distinction. I'm just reading what I got. Just go with it. Just go with it.
Very honest. Very honest.
Bastian Hart, AP Scholar with Distinction. Meredith Kropowicz, Early College Program Graduate. Kropowicz. Addie Law, AP Scholar with Distinction. Guinevere Matney, National Merit Finalist and St. Charles County STEM Award. Emery Maurer, AP Scholar with Distinction. Matthew Miller, AP Scholar with Distinction and St. Charles County STEM Award winner. Jillian Olson, early college program graduate. Kenneth Priest, AP Scholar with distinction. Kimberlyn Sanders Fritz, AP Scholar with distinction. Sean Toma, AP Scholar with distinction. Jamin Whaley, AP Scholar with distinction.
So we're gonna do 2 layers, right? So I need the shorter people in the front, taller people in the back. I don't want to, yes, please. I don't want to have to pick and choose, so please don't make me. Have you actually go over here if you don't mind. Everybody make sure that your head is in between someone else's shoulders so we can see your face. Excellent, thank you guys. You guys are making life a lot easier for me this week. Alright, everybody's faces are good. Awesome.
Nobody move until the parents just jump.
Alright, you guys ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. You guys can move up if you want. What's your graduation?
Oh, God. 3, 2. Good job, everybody. One more. Ladies and gentlemen,
All right, and now I will invite Dr. Wedlock with Francis Howell High School to introduce his students.
Okay, Emily Albers, AP Scholar with distinction. Neil Chen, AP Scholar with distinction. Malia Garbarini, AP Scholar with distinction and Senior Class President. Alicia Garbo, AP Scholar with distinction and St. Charles County STEM Award winner. Sky Haddock, AP Scholar with distinction. Dalton Lillidahl, AP Scholar with distinction. Joel Mockins, AP Scholar with distinction. Adelaide Minton, AP Scholar with distinction. Claire Ohms, AP Scholar with distinction. Liam Fenning, AP Scholar with distinction. Joseph Rashmiel, AP Scholar with distinction and National Merit finalist. Grant Rousseau, AP Scholar with distinction. Nina Savio, AP Scholar with distinction. Kara Smith, AP Scholar with distinction. And Leah Ernicus, AP Scholar with Distinction.
Standing again. Tall people in the back, shorter people in the front. We might need to make another row. Let's see here. If I can get you guys to come up. You guys stay here in the front. You guys that are in the middle row, come up just a hair. I'm gonna have you go on the other end, please. Just right here next to Mr. Delaney. He's very nice, I promise. And watch over the faces.
No.
All right, I think this is as good as we're gonna get, guys. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
And thank you all. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations.
And finally, I'll invite Dr. Shelley Parks with Francis Howell North to come forward to introduce the Knights.
Good evening. We have a number of our students who can't be here tonight because they're participating in school-related activities and competitions and all that. We're super proud of our kids. So the ones who are here tonight, we'll start with Jyla Bustos, who is an AP Scholar with Distinction. Next is Esther Lynn, an AP Scholar with Distinction, a National Merit Finalist, and a Missouri Scholars 100. Next, we have Kiera Williams, an AP Scholar with Distinction. And finally, Madison Zangraft, an Early College Program graduate.
You guys scoot back closer to the little thing. Yep. Give them about a foot and a half of breathing room there.
Yeah.
Good, good.
Okay.
Good, excellent. Might help if I have the camera on. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you, guys.
Did the parents finish it?
Congratulations.
Ladies, congratulations.
Next, we will introduce our student board representative for tonight's meeting. As you know, the purpose of the Student Board Rep program is to honor and recognize talented students, elevate student voice, and provide growth opportunities in the areas of public speaking, leadership, and governance. Students are selected for this honor by their principal with input from the student body. They have an opportunity to prepare and deliver a short speech to the board and public that is focused on their school or the district. And with that, I'll invite Dr. Amy Bemke to the podium to introduce our student board rep from Sager Middle School.
To lower that a little bit. I know, I need a box. Sorry, good evening. My name is Amy Bemke, and I am the principal at Sager Middle School. I'm very honored here to introduce our student board rep, Jasmine Zhao. Jasmine is currently an 8th grader at Sager Middle School. She has spent her entire middle school career as a junior Spartan. I am proud to share that Jasmine is a dedicated, welcoming, and driven student that cares deeply about her community. Jasmine has been involved in the art club, spirit club, math club, junior Spartan ambassadors, drama club, student council, principals advisory council, and is a member of our National Junior Honor Society. Not only has Jasmine been involved in extracurricular activities, she has maintained a 4.0986 GPA and is currently ranked first in the 8th grade class of 271 students. Jasmine has taken multiple courses at FHC, and she excels in advocating for herself and her educational pathway. While I'm ecstatic to share Jasmine's academic and extracurricular successes, I'm most proud to share that Jasmine is a genuine human being that is positive, engaged, and understands the importance of being a good friend. She has an overall commitment to creating and maintaining a positive outlook on truly everything. I would like to introduce Jasmine Zhao.
First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Bemke and the board for this opportunity to serve as the student representative for Sager Middle School. I am so honored to be here today. I would also like to congratulate the Golden Girls dance team for their win in nationals and all of the high-achieving students being recognized today. Their achievements are a testament to the hard work and dedication of not only the amazing students, but also the coaches, teachers, mentors, and extensive support system from the Francis Howell community. Having been a member of FHSD my entire life, from preschool at Meadows Parkway to John Weldon Elementary, and from the amazing Sager program at Cosley to where I am now at Sager Middle School, I have experienced the commitment that staff and administrators pour into making every school an environment that fosters growth and exploration. Because of that support, I've always felt encouraged to try new things, challenge myself, and become more confident. As Dr. Bemke mentioned, I've had the privilege of joining many different clubs and activities Sager has to offer. Clubs like Junior Spartan Ambassadors, sponsored by our school counselors, give me the chance to give back, and I wholeheartedly enjoy welcoming new students and helping during transition day with incoming 6th graders. As part of the Principal Advisory Council, I have seen firsthand how the administrators value student input and how giving students a voice can create positive change in a school community. Because of Sager's Saga program, I had the opportunity to take challenging courses and travel to the high school. Experiences and exposure truly change students' lives. That is why I am so appreciative of this board for valuing education, supporting our teachers and staff, and fostering an inclusive community for all. Thank you again for giving students a voice and giving me this opportunity to participate in today's board meeting.
And then Director Owens will get you situated, okay? I actually have you scoot this way just a little bit. There we go. Good. Thank you.
Welcome, Jasmine.
Just follow me.
And Director Owens, I'm going to welcome our guest.
Okay, I want to welcome Jasmine. I was a middle school music teacher for 24 years, and I just wondered what you did not participate in. Were you in choir? Oh. Yeah, well, next year, it's always a possibility. Okay. Anyway, I'm just very impressed with your speech. So you can't vote up here tonight, but you can ask questions and you can definitely give us some opinions because I think she's got some very good ideas. But you can run for president someday. I think she's ready, almost. Yeah. So thank you so much. And like I said, you can do everything but vote. And thank you so much for everything you're doing on the eve of the last day of school. Good job.
Thank you again. We have another moment for Miss Jules.
Sorry, really stealing the show tonight. I'm sorry, this is my last time at the microphone. And I get the honor of introducing our spotlight presentation this evening, and we are going to shine a light on the therapy dog program at Fairmount Elementary. So Principal Carrie Tharp is here to tell us more, and she'll introduce some of the other staff members and hopefully the puppies too, so we can get to meet them.
All right, good evening, and thank you to the members of the Board of Education, Executive Cabinet, and patrons for your continued support of our schools and students. It is my honor to present to you the Fairmount Therapy Dog Program, now in its second year at Fairmount Elementary. This program was organized by Mrs. Tanya Cato, occupational therapist, and Mrs. Marie Trey, educational support counselor at Fairmount. And joining us this evening are two of our therapy dog teams, Miss Linda Rao with Jupiter and Paula Kay with Tucker.
We'll just stand right here.
Yeah, they're so flexible and patient. They're like this all the time. Ms. Cato and Ms. Trey have worked tirelessly to introduce and grow this program within our school community. The Therapy Dog program has become a successful component of our Tier 2 behavior intervention system, providing students with opportunities to interact with therapy dogs while learning strategies to regulate their bodies and emotions during these interactions. It is a complete joy to watch our students interact with the therapy dogs and their handlers, who patiently guide students and answer all of their questions during the therapy sessions. At this time, I am pleased to introduce Mrs. Cato and Ms. Trey to share more about this program and the positive impact it is making on our Falcon community.
Thank you. And we thank you for this opportunity to share with you a little about our Therapy Dog program and the impact it's had on our students and staff at Fairmount. Our program began. Our program started to support the social emotional well-being of our students and staff at Fairmount. Supporting mental health allows kids to fully engage and participate in their school day, and this aligns with our multi-tiered system of support. Therapy dogs are trained friendly pets that volunteer with their owners in hospitals, schools, and nursing homes to provide support and comfort. They are trained in obedience and then evaluated and certified or registered with a therapy dog program. Therapy dogs provide comfort to others, but they don't have public access rights. There are differences in service dogs and emotional support animals or service animals. Service dogs are trained to do specific tasks for their owners and have public access rights, where emotional support dogs provide comfort for their owners but are not trained for public interaction. Fairmount uses only dog teams that are certified through AKC recognized organizations, and we have had teams through CHAMP assistance dogs, and then our current teams are through Pet Partners. Interacting with a therapy dog has many benefits, which is supported by research, such as reducing stress and anxiety as measured by a reduction in salivary cortisol levels. This is a physiological response to stress. Research shows that salivary cortisol levels continue to lower the longer we pet a dog. Research with students across a 6-week school term showed interacting with therapy dogs twice a week for 20 minutes lowered salivary cortisol levels from the beginning to the end of this school term, and had a greater and more lasting impact than other relaxation techniques such as yoga, meditation, or mindfulness, which only lowered cortisol levels immediately following the relaxation session, not from beginning to end of the school term. Research also shows that it improves emotional and behavioral regulation, such as an increase in positive behavior and reduction in maladaptive behavior, an increase in attention and focus, emotional regulation, and having a positive attitude to learning. Research shows interacting with therapy dogs improves social aspects such as improved social skills, improved teacher-peer relationships, improved sense of belonging, and improved school function. A study involving regular education students and students receiving special education services showed a social benefit for the children who received those special education services when they interacted with therapy dogs in a group setting versus individually. We took all of this research into consideration when we developed our program. These are our therapy dogs, and this is our research in action represented in these pictures. Our program started in September of 2024. It began with a school-wide assembly put on by CHAMP assistance dogs that taught students what a therapy dog is and what they do, the difference between therapy dogs and other working dogs, and proper etiquette when interacting with a dog or meeting a working dog out in the community. They also demonstrated the skills of their service dogs. Fairmont received a grant in the form of 2 different books about therapy dogs to support our program from the Charlotte Helen Bacon Foundation. This foundation was founded to honor the memory of Charlotte, a child lost in the Sandy Hook shootings, to support schools wanting to start or continue a therapy dog program because of the benefit that their community, their family, and their school saw through the use of therapy dogs. Our program consists of weekly visits from our therapy dog teams that last 1 hour for targeted groups of students. Our students come in groups of 3 to 6 at a time to visit the dogs. During these groups, our students have learned how to interact with a dog and how to recognize the emotions in the dogs as well as themselves, and self-regulation skills. And the following pictures are examples of the real life impact that our program has for our students and staff. And Marie's going to share a little bit about that impact.
Hi, let me see. I don't know if I can tell that down too. We have the honor of really getting to work directly with these students, and so I just, even going and reviewing this, for today's presentation, I just look at this and it's amazing to see these students. These students were selected because they have a variety of different social emotional needs. Many of these students in these photos, they had difficulty staying regulated throughout the day. They were often disengaged and disconnected in class, and this was one intervention that we put in place for them. And as you can see, smiles on their faces, they're so joyful. Some of these students had a significant loss in their life, and they were really going through that grieving process and were becoming more disengaged, and seeing them being engaged here with not just the dogs, but with one another, with the staff and the handlers who came. It's really amazing. If you guys knew these kids personally, it's really cool to see all of this. And then some more pictures. Like I said, these are students who were struggling, and there's a reason that they were selected for this. And so, we try not to show their faces too much to respect their privacy, but there's joy on their faces. They really were getting a lot from this program. We see their bodies are regulated, they're joyful, they're participating, they're connected. And during our we went through and we talked a lot about the zones of regulation, which is something that is a school-wide program that we use at Fairmount. And so not only were they getting that experiential learning, but then also we were teaching and talking about our emotions, identifying them. We talked a lot about how we need to have calm bodies in order for the dogs to have calm bodies, right? And so having that mirror effect of the dogs kind of mirror what we're putting off, and so that helped the students calm down and learn that they need to calm down and how it impacts not only the dogs but each other as well. And so we did all of that in this, and so I think the next one is.
We were listening, we promise.
No, that's okay. I know the dogs can be a little distracting. I get it. And they're the sweetest dogs. So please. Oh, and that's the other thing. Well, I don't. There's extra staff. It was yes, we had selected students who came and visited each week, but there were certain staff members that knew Friday afternoons they'd always be popping by and they'd get their little dog fix and come in. And so it really just brought a lot of positivity and community to Fairmount. Kind of like how you all are feeling, right? You can't help it, you gotta go pet the dogs. So then here is we're gonna go over some of the data collection that we got. This is
from last year. We were still in the process and figuring out the data from this year. But we did So we did a pre and post test. You got to get pictures too, right? They're so cute. We did a pre and post test with the teachers of the students who were selected. And we asked questions about emotional regulation, on task work, social skills, just the students' overall mood during the school day, and positive social interactions. So the students' interactions with peers and with adults. And we're just gonna highlight the 2 questions that ask specifically about emotional regulation and self-regulation, since that was really the focus of this program. So this is the question that was on that we put out. The student demonstrates emotional regulation. For example, they can express feelings without escalation or emotional meltdown. And then as you can see in the light blue, that's where a lot of our students, that's where our students were at the beginning of starting the therapy dog groups. And then as you can see in the dark blue, in the navy blue, how it kind of shifts over. Oh, and I don't know if you guys can read the bottom, but it goes from on the left side, never, and then a scale from 1 to 5, never to always. So as we could see, majority of the students never or almost never really showed that emotional regulation while at school. And then towards the end, there was a lot of improvement there. And then this is about self-regulation skills. The student demonstrates self-regulation skills, asks to take a break, takes deep breaths. So that's really utilizing those strategies that we were talking about and teaching throughout the program. And it's similar to the other. You can see that, at the beginning, these students were almost never or never really demonstrating self-regulation skills, not really accessing, taking those deep breaths, trying to calm down and actively working on that. But then throughout this experience and this intervention, we had some growth. So as you can see, the dark blue kind of shifts over towards the more always. And really, it's amazing if we get in always, because I think 4 is really where the majority is that we're almost always, right, wanting them to use that. And so then we also did just a post survey with the students who participated. So we asked a variety of questions to them, just asking about their experience in the group. And as you can see, 25 out of 26 of the students rated their experience in the group as a thumbs up smiley face. And you can see the little picture in the bottom, that's what they used to determine. So they'd circle one of them. Or I was going to say 1 or 2, sometimes they were in between. So 25 out of 26 rated their experience as a thumbs up. And I think the other one was both the sideways and up one. 26 out of 26 would recommend to other students of giving this group a try, and 20 out of 26 enjoyed working with the other students in the group. And then, like I mentioned, we're still collecting data for this year and figuring out how that looks. Oh, here. And then, so the last question on the post survey for the students was anything additional you want to share. And so we just asked that open-ended question, anything additional you want to share, and these were some of the responses that we got. I like how happy, energetic, and nice the dogs are. It's amazing. I want a dog. My feeling. And that one I want to explain a little bit. Like I said, we talked a lot about feelings and emotions throughout their time in the group. And so when we asked what anything additional that you want to share, that student was wanting to share how they felt. And I think that shows that they were becoming more open and more comfortable with sharing their emotions and feelings and talking about it and recognizing that in themselves. I love meeting new dogs. They're my favorite species. Every group loves the dogs. I am being so calm. My dog died. Her name was Ace. And again, I think that just shows that that student wanted to share something personal, personal about them, trying to connect with us and with one another. And so I think that's where that comment came from. And then the group was good. So a lot of positive feedback from the students.
And then our future plans, we would love to continue our program. This year, we have kind of transitioned our program into including children from our essential skills classrooms to have that focus on emotional regulation as well as that social interaction. And then we'd like to incorporate our dog teams into large school events such as open house, back to school, and conferences. And then our long range goal is to possibly look at having a full-time facility dog at Fairmount. Thank you so much for letting us share a little bit about our therapy dog program and meet our dogs. It's really been an honor to be able to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. We know it works to put a smile on all the board's face and everybody up here in executive cap.
Oh, before you guys go, did you already go? Oh, it was great. Never mind.
She's right here.
Oh, excuse me. Hi, sorry, I just wanted to thank you for the presentation and to commend you and the Fairmount team for recognizing that not all students are the same and that they need, some students respond to individualized care. And this was a great demonstration that schools are not just to receive where you receive an education, it's so much more. So thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I was hoping to mention and then I passed through it real quick. But Tanya briefly talked about we made a shift this year. So last year it was, all the students do have social emotional needs that we were focusing on. But last year it was really more of those counseling groups. We talked to the counselors, we surveyed them and really looked at the different data to pull those students there. But this year we had to switch locations of where we met. And we found that the essential skills, the new Falcon suite that we have would be a good space for them. But we also talked about that would be a good space because the essential skills students, some of them do, but oftentimes they're not on the forefront of receiving those additional, counseling groups or social emotional interventions or whatnot, but they still do need that and benefit from it. And so we shifted, and that's really where the focus landed on this year. And it's been amazing to see. And then one thing too is we talked a bit, and when she was talking about the research, talked about social skills and how social skills can be improved through these interactions. And so this year it was really focused on, yes, emotional regulation, but then also we've seen social skills improvement in those students. And that has been really amazing to see. Yeah, huge growth.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The next item on our agenda refers to patron comments. Tonight, there are no patron comments. If you have comments you want to share with the board, please feel free to use the website and share by email, and you can share at the next board meeting as well. From there, we have representation from FHEA. Invite FHEA to come forward.
First in a long time. Good evening. My name is Francine Hill, and I am the FHEA president. Tomorrow is the last day in the 2025-2026 school year, and FHEA hopes that students and staff have a great summer of fun and rest. Everyone deserves it. As I'm sure most everyone knows, the last few years here at Francis Howell have been filled with crazy. Crazy is a lot like an avalanche. Once it starts rolling, it's impossible to stop. It destroys everything in its path and buries all the good along the way. Please don't let the long-standing commitment of the way our district administers insurance be one more thing to get buried. As the FHEA representative on the insurance committee, I cannot support these changes. They have attracted and retained many staff over the years. We realize the weight of being buried under the avalanche of craziness from our legislature has been scaring everyone, but we need to do all we can to keep the great employees we have. FHEA has our shovels ready to help dig our way out. We know many of you here do too. We can't do it without our staff, Board of Education, and community. Please join us in digging our way out and shining a light on all the good things that our district has done and can do. One of the good things accomplished recently is working collaboratively with administration to create a new agreement for our ESEs here in the district. I'm pleased to say the FHEA ESEs ratified their tentative agreement. The ESEs work so hard to keep our students feeling safe and protected. They are a vital part of our family. Many of us will continue to work hard over the summer, learning and planning for next year. Let's make it the best year ever. Help us stop the avalanche with your vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is FISA.
Thank you, President Blair. My name is Jennifer Vineyard, and I serve as president of FISA. I am here tonight to speak about concerns that are significantly impacting morale and employee sense of value within Francis Howell. Support staff are essential to this district. We support students, keep schools running, and ensure daily operations run smoothly behind the scenes. Staff have consistently shown their dedication to Francis Howell, including during the recent Prop RT effort. Unfortunately, many employees no longer feel that same commitment is being shown to them in return. Each year, support staff are told they are receiving a raise, yet rising healthcare costs continue to offset those increases. Higher premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket expenses leave many employees feeling as though they are standing still or falling further behind. Some are even questioning whether they can afford to remain in the district. These concerns were reflected in the recent FISA salary agreement vote. We had one of the highest voter turnouts in recent years, yet the agreement passed with only a 52% approval, the lowest support we have seen in years. Let me repeat that. This was the largest FISA voter turnout for negotiated items and passed with the smallest percentage we have ever had at 52%. If that isn't sending a message, we don't know what would. That result reflects growing frustration among employees who no longer feel that compensation increases are truly benefiting them. Support staff are asking for raises that function as actual raises, not just on paper, but in real life. Employees want to feel valued, respected, and supported. In addition, FISA also cannot support the proposed insurance recommendations. We respectfully ask the district to consider a sixth option that means the current insurance plan for one more year. A few weeks is simply not enough time for families to prepare for healthcare increases of this magnitude. We believe the district can prioritize employees by reconsidering the proposed transfer of $5 million into capital funds. Furthermore, we ask that HSA contributions be provided in 2 or 3 installments during the year rather than divided across each paycheck. This would give employees better access to funds when major medical expenses occur. Only then will the proposed salary increase for support staff truly function as a meaningful raise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have a submitted agenda item under policy 0412, which allows residents, staff of the district to submit an agenda item which is related to governance or operation of the district. Prior to submission of the agenda, the submitting resident must meet with the superintendent or designee in an effort to resolve the concern related to the agenda item. Per policy, those that have made the request include Anita Keener, Francine Hill, and Caitlin Carlton. They'll be given the designated amount of time, a total of 15 minutes, or up to 5 minutes each to speak to the board. I'd like the first speaker to come forward.
Good evening, Board of Education and Cabinet. My name's Anita Keener. I am here tonight to ask the board to consider the FHEA sunshine request for the roll call vote for the grievance that FHEA presented to the board on March 6th. When we met with the superintendent to attempt to resolve this issue coming to you, he asked us why is knowing the vote important. It is important to FHEA for several reasons. We have a procedure for recommending candidates for the school board. We support those that have the same beliefs and wants as we do. We understand that at times we will agree to disagree, but with that, it is our hope and that a conversation can occur. We want individuals that believe that this can again be the best the district in the state of Missouri. We want folks that care and want the best for our students. We want individuals that want the best staff they can hire that will stay until they retire. We want to have the highest test scores so our students can be successful and accomplish anything they chose to do when they leave us. We want individuals that can make the tough decisions that are right for our students and staff. We want individuals that will allow staff to have a voice in the decision-making as a partner and not as just an employee. We understand that there will be times that we will agree to disagree, but we want those that can acknowledge their decisions and say so. Not giving us the roll call vote is hiding behind the request. If that is what you believe, stand up for it. If you can't openly admit how you voted, then what else are you not telling us? This was a request from an employee that the grievance was about. She wanted to know who supported her. We are also here to ask this new Board of Education to reconsider the vote on the grievance. This would take one of the 4 veteran BOE members who voted against the request of FHEA on Caitlin's behalf to ask that it be reconsidered. As the previous president of FHEA, I am here to tell you that what the administration stated that was agreed to as far as the new hires and salary placement was not completely true. Yes, FHEA did agree to a chart for those new hires that had less than 9 years of experience, a chart that Dr. Griggs and former chief HR developed. This chart was for the new hires and where to place them on the salary schedule. The district and FHEA developed this chart to address the frozen years and the times that we negotiated by reducing our days by 3 and then another year giving percentages of 6% no step and 5.5% with a second year of no step. I explain this to you because I do want you to understand that there was a chart. However, it has not been found, and another one was developed by someone, I'm not sure. Due to those years that I just explained, there were years that new hires were on the same step as those that had been in the district for 5 years. That is why we agreed that new hires couldn't be placed on another step even if they had 5 years experience. But FHEA never agreed to anything for those new hires that brought 10 years or more experience. Let me repeat that. FHEA never agreed to anything for those new hires that brought in more than 10 years of experience as Caitlin did. It should have been noted that when Caitlin came to our district, she should have been received 9 years experience and placed on step 10. When she did this grievance at all 3 levels, we researched the topic by collecting 78 teachers' contracts from 1 year, from the first year that they came to the district to current. We checked with as many of the Central Metro St. Louis area school districts to find out how they placed new hires on their salary schedule who had more than what the district offered. In Wentzville and Fort Zumwalt, a new hire can bring in 10 years experience and is placed on step 11. The practice in Wentzville and Fort Zumwalt was the practice that Francis Howell used before the current chief of HR took over. We gave new hires who came in with more than 9 years, all of those years plus 1 step, because everyone starts on step 1. And if a new hire has more than 9 years, they get the 9 years plus 1 step.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
As the current acting FHEA president, I can say without any doubt that FHEA has not agreed to calculating the experience pay for placement the way the district has been doing. It never crossed our minds that was the way the district was placing folks with more than 9 years of experience. As Anita stated, all the St. Charles County districts give a maximum level of experience and the extra step. Districts in St. Louis County also use the same practice as Wentzville, Fort Zumwalt, St. Charles, and Orchard Forums, and as we used to do. St. Louis County. Afton gives full credit for all years plus 1 step. Brentwood, they have unlimited, so you are placed on the number of years taught and then 1 step added. Bayless doesn't have an official policy, but last year the teachers were given all their years, and their local leaders think they'll continue to do that practice as long as necessary, plus they get the step. Hazelwood teachers first employed by the district are given credit for all years of approved previous teacher or administrative experience and are placed on the corresponding step plus 1. Lindbergh has no limit and can bring all their years and then add 1 step. Maplewood bring in up to 15 years, placed on step 16. Melville up to 10 years, placed on step 11. Pattonville have unlimited and then add a step. Parkway honors up to 10 years of service on a salary schedule as long as the years have been within the past 10 years. If a staff member comes to us or comes to them with 14 years of service prior to coming to Parkway, they were, and all the years were in the last 14 years, they would be placed on step 11. If someone were to come to them with 14 years of experience, but only 6 of them were in the last 10 years, they would be placed on step 7. Rockwood, 15 years of experience, and you start on step 16. Valley Park, you bring up to 15 years and you're placed on step 16. Webster, up to 7 years and you're placed on step 8. Special School District, you can bring in 6 years and be placed on step 7. However, at the district's discretion, they can give up to 12 years, placing them on the next step. Northwest gives 10 years, placed on step 11. Fox gives 10 and starts on year 11. Festus gives all years plus 1 step. Last year, when FHEA negotiated the Senate Bill 727 with the district CFOO and the Chief Human Resource Officer, we did so with the intent of giving back a step that was not given during the 2017 to 2024. Caitlin came to FHEA this year and asked about the language that we negotiated for Senate Bill 727 because she had been told during the time the district offered her the position in 2022 that once FHEA negotiated another step, that she would receive one. She stated when she contacted the chief of HR this year, she was told that she did not qualify, which made no sense because she was hired in 2022. The timeline for this step was 2017 to 2024, so we were not sure why she did not receive the step. We then asked for the informational meeting with HR to discuss this. We were told that she did not receive all of her years according to the Board of Education policy in the closure document. It was then when we found out that the district was not giving new hires more than 9 steps. The additional step placing them on step 10. So it was then that we filed the grievance and took it all the way to the board in the March of that year. We were notified that the board did not agree with FHEA and sided with administration. It was then we requested the roll call vote, and that too was denied. We were then told that we needed to meet with Superintendent to try to resolve our request. He too asked us questions about why we would want it, and our answer was we actively participate with Board of Education elections, and we recommended those that support us, and if someone is not supporting us, we'd like to know and have a conversation. So we understand, because there are times when we will have to agree to disagree. But we were told a flat out no, which brings us to all of you now. We are requesting the roll call vote for the grievance that FHEA filed on behalf of Caitlin Charlton. We also asked the new board to reconsider the previous vote from the last board. We are more than happy to discuss this again anytime, anywhere.
Good evening. In case any of us spoke too fast, you have received a copy of this speech, so please go over the details. To give those new board members that have no information about my grievance that I filed, I'd like to give you some of the background. I came to Francis Howell in 2022 from Hazelwood School District with 13 years of experience, taking a pay cut to come here. When I spoke to the chief of HR who offered me the position, I was told that due to previous freezes, I would be placed on step 9, not step 10, until the union renegotiated contracts to give me back the extra step that I didn't receive. This step was negotiated through SB 727 MOU. When the step was given to those this school year, I did not receive it. I called the chief of HR and received the answer that I didn't qualify under the MOU language that was negotiated with FHEA. This language from SB 727 states if the 1% funds are appropriated, the additional funding will be used to provide as an additional step to all educators who were hired during the 27-2018 through the 23-24 school years who did not receive steps equal to their years of experience when placed on the salary schedule, up to the maximum of 9 steps per policy. To help understand this even further, let me ask you a question. If a student completes grades 1 through 9, do you then send them back to 9th grade, or do they proceed to 10th grade because they have successfully completed those 9 years? That is the way a teacher's salary schedule works. On October 2nd, 2025, FHEA filed a grievance on my behalf due to the placement of where the district put me on the salary schedule. We started at the informal level with the Chief of HR and proceeded to the next level. We met with the Chief of HR at level 1. After that meeting on October 27th, we were told that our grievance was denied. If you look over the response from level 1, you will also notice that someone who started teaching the same year that I did in this district is 2 steps ahead of me. This doesn't align with the process of making sure that someone new coming into the district isn't ahead of someone who's been in the district the entire time, even with that teacher going through freezes. We then proceeded to level 2 with the superintendent. We met on December 8th with the superintendent. He asked for an extension, which FHEA agreed to, because he wanted more time to complete his investigation into this multi-layered grievance. We then received his response stating that he denied our grievance, believing that policy 4505 had been properly implemented. We then presented level 3 to the Board of Education. The grievance about board policy 4505 CR states, teachers shall be allowed to bring in 9 years of previous teaching experience on the salary schedule. Former district teachers who are reemployed shall be allowed to bring in all previous district experience and up to 9 years of other previous teaching experience on the salary schedule, as long as the date of application is within 2 years of leaving the district and provided they accept the first position for which they're qualified. I tell you all of this because even at the board, my level 3 grievance was denied. After it was stated that our grievance was denied, FHEA asked for the roll call vote. That too was denied. So I personally, since this was my grievance, asked for the roll call vote, believing that FHEA was denied because it was a personnel issue. But I too was denied and was told I could appeal according to Board of Ed Policy 0412, which states that we need to meet with the superintendent to try and resolve the issue, and that if it doesn't happen, then I would be able to take my issue to you now. So that's why we're here tonight. I'm not only asking for the roll call vote of my grievance that FHEA filed on behalf of myself, but I'm also asking for reconsideration of my grievance. In order to do that, a board member on the prevailing side of the vote needs to bring it back for reconsideration. That means that either President Blair, Vice President Greider, Director Owens, or Director Olkey can bring back the grievance. Those that voted against my grievance have the ability to bring it back because they were on the prevailing side. I'm also asking that I still receive the roll call vote for my grievance. Thank you.
And thank you all for your time and for sharing what you shared. Thank you for the email that allows us to look further into it as well. Appreciate it. And I apologize, the name Charlton, not Carlton. Thank you. Board, I have a motion to approve the consent agenda for May 21st, 2026 as presented. Greider.
Second.
Adams is the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Next, board, I have a motion. It's a unique motion. It is a motion to excuse Director Olkey from the April 16, 2026 and May 21st, 2026 board meeting for reasons that are satisfactory to the board. You have a first?
So moved. Second.
Director Owens, followed by Vice President Greider. Statute 162.303 says any member of the school board of a 7-director district, including urban districts, failing to attend the meetings of the board for 3 consecutive regular meetings, unless excused by the board for reasons satisfactory to the board, shall be deemed to have vacated the seat. I am voting in favor of this, knowing the situation that Director Olkey is experiencing, and I believe that is a valid reason for missing board meetings, and so I will be voting in favor of this motion. Any other comments, board? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Board, I have a motion to approve the 2026 through 2028 FHEA ESC's closure document as presented. Vice President Greider.
Second.
Treasurer McGuire. Board, do you have any questions? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Board, I have a motion to approve the FISA salary schedules as presented.
So moved.
Director Adams.
Second.
Director Dillard. Questions, anybody on the board? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Board, I have a motion to approve the 2026 through 2029 Teamster closure document as presented.
So moved.
Treasurer McGuire, followed by Vice President Greider. Board, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. So we're going to take a short 2-minute break to sign the approved documents, so nobody go too far. We're going to take a moment just to sign documents.
Got mine.
Thank you.
At least another hour, but if you want to
Take an hour. Take a break. We're going to probably be here till midnight tonight.
I'm back to back. If she needs to sneak out.
Anytime you're
At any point you need to go, get Carly's attention. Board, let us. All right, board, we're going to move back to the agenda. Board, I have a motion to approve the 2026-2027 pay increases in the salary schedules as presented. Vice President Greider, Director Adams for the second. Questions, board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The motion passes. Board, I have a motion to approve the employee insurance renewal recommendations as presented. Vice President Greider. You have a second?
Second.
Treasurer McGuire. Dr. Amy St. John will review and discuss the additional changes, updates to the employee insurance recommendations that we initially heard the May 7th work session.
Yes, thank you so much for having me back this evening. I will not go through the entire presentation tonight, as it is the same format that we had before, with the additions that the work session had provided some feedback and some additional emails that had been received for some additional things to look at. So I will just be covering some of the highlights, but if there's anything you'd like me to stop and talk further about, please let me know. First couple of slides. This is the first new slide that was added at the direction of Director Adams. And there you go. This is a full census by employee group for each of our base individual children, family, and then the same for the high deductible. I do have a footnote there. If it has a VBE at the end of it, that's specific for both benefits eligible. So that's an employee team of both of the individuals work here in the district. So that's why they're called out a little bit different. And with this, I just wanted to kind of draw your eye to the bottom in the different categories. I know it can look a little bit busy here, but at the first number there of 126, that's the base individual children. And to give you context as we start to go through that, that particular group would have an increase with the option 2.5 that is being recommended by the administration tonight. They would have an increased cost of $59.57 for the employee children group. You will see a difference if you move to the employee family. So the number 29 there, that group there, would have an increase of $628.52 because that is the group that would have their spouse also in there. So you can see that that's going to have an additional cost, as we were talking about that last time in terms of the largest expenses right now are coming from the spouse group. And so we were really kind of looking for ways to mitigate those costs. And then the group of 22, that's the employee spouse, so it would be the same thing. It would be an increase of $401, and it's really just asking that spouse to pay for their part of the insurance. The number 375, that is a group of people that are in the high deductible individual children, and that is an increase of $248.42, and I know that that's been a concern to some people because that's the area that they might be currently participating in. But as I mentioned, if they went back to the base plan, that might be an option for them because it would be a much lower cost to the family. And then the employee family in this area is 140 people, and that would be an increase of $884.34 based upon option 2.5. The next page that was updated after a couple of more options were added. So there was a 2.5 added. We had the 2 and the 3, and this is really intended to be a happy medium in between. And with that particular one, this particular slide and any of them that would show all of them at the same time, they were also updated. So in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the 2.5. And then on the right-hand side, the option 5 was added. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a second. So if you look at the bottom left-hand option 2.5, you can see that that comes into the range of either $5 or $6 being added for the cost of benefits for that employee group. I forgot to bring my water up here. Thank you. Excuse me. On the next slide, what you can see in this particular slide, the purpose of it is really just to show your eye how much the district currently has been spending on insurance. So that's the black bar, and that's $27,494,000. And then each of the options compared to that, and if they are red, they are going to be spending more than what we're currently spending, and if they're green, they would be spending less than what we're currently spending. President Blair had asked for us to add like a threshold line just so that it could be noted that at the $23 million mark Anything above that is really going to deficit spend regardless of which option is picked. So I just want to make sure that that was clear to everybody. This is not for us to not deficit spend, it's really for us to mitigate cost. And so just drawing your eye to that $23 million area is what that does intend to do. Any questions about that particular slide? So then again, I mentioned each of the slides that showed all of the areas I updated, and I drew a box around the middle because that's the three that really mitigate the cost and bring that dollar figure down. This slide is intended to show as a heat map. We had the research of our area school districts spend an average of $8,000 to $12,000 for health insurance benefits for their employees. And this green, it represents that they are at or below that $12,000, and the red is above that $12,000. And so you can see the options 2, 2.5, and 3. It's more green than it is red, trying to again bring that cost into the average that we see in our area school districts. When you look at this slide, I have updated it to include a green column so that you can easily understand what the cost increase is per the options and per the package that the employee would choose. So if you were looking at that 2.5, which is in the center there, you can see that the increased cost, as I mentioned on the slide before, would be that $401.64 for the employee spouse, and the employee children is an increased cost of only $59.57, and then employee family does go up a little bit more at $625 or $628.25. And again, that's really because that spouse is still part of that family program, and so just requesting that that spouse pay that additional portion there. This is the same kind of information, but using the high deductible plan approach. And so this would, again, that middle column is that 2.5. And with that, one of the things that we had talked about too is, again, taking the people groups that maybe have traditionally looked at using the high deductible plan as their option, is maybe looking at the base plan. And the good news is that the Business Solver, which is the platform that they will enroll through, is a new platform, and it actually has the ability for it to look back. If they've been an employee for a while, they can look back for several years, and it will produce what is the best plan for them based upon the types of claims that they've had in that history. So we're excited for that to be an option. With that group that I mentioned before that might consider moving over to the base plan, if they're currently in the high deductible employee family, and that's currently that $590.78, and they move to the employee children in the base plan, that overall change for their family would only be $31.16 per month. So I just want to make sure that the board understands that there are options for families that would not necessarily be just the number you see there, but if they were to understand kind of what's best in terms of the plan that works for their family. This is just an update of the review overall, indicating what 2.5 did bring to the new plan option. So it's a plan design change of a slight increase to the deductibles and to the out-of-pocket, and then it really standardizes the cost share of what the district proportion is at 47% for spouse, 65% is still being paid for the employee children, and then just down to 45% for the employee family. And again, this is moving closer to our benchmarks districts of Fort Zumwalt and Wentzville, who, as a reminder, only pay for the employee regardless of which plan that they pick. They have a standard number that is applied to that regardless of the plan. So moving closer to that direction. Option 5, Director Adams had asked that we maybe look at really bringing in something that had really high deductible out of pocket, just to see kind of how low we could get the premium. So I do present that tonight, but I think it would be very difficult for any family to really be able to manage those type of out-of-pocket expenses. So now I'll just move to the plan of 2.5, and then just kind of talk you through on that left side. You can see that those are slight changes in red. So it would go from the $1,500 deductible to the $2,000, and then the $4,000 was previously. Sorry, I should have wrote that in my notes. So it was $1,500 to $3,000, and then it's now $2,000 and $4,000, and $4,500, $9,000 to the $6,000, $12,000, and then some slight increases to the prescription, and then on the high deductible, moving it to $4,500 and $9,000 as opposed to the $36,000 and $72,000. this is what the Plan 5 looked like that you had requested, and it really increases those out-of-pocket and those deductibles, like I mentioned a moment ago, just to an unmanageable number. It does lower the premium, as expected. President Blair had asked that we look at these top 3 areas, and we look to see what does it do to the overall fund balance, making that assumption for that amount. So you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, the assumptions I have are really just the kind of what we're looking at these right now. We have a 2% increase for local expected for next year. This is using the SAT at 6,700, so it would be a decrease to our state funds. This is including the salaries that you actually just approved through all the things that we've just completed at 3% overall to that number. And then this would be a decrease of 13.1% to the overall number. This leaves the deficit spend of $1.6 million in that particular column for 26-27. It gives us a fund balance of $24.47 in that year, and you do see that it goes down slightly for the following 2 years. If we look at option 2.5, the overall spend on that would bring us to a deficit spend of $3.1 million. And it then it has the same assumptions as I just mentioned before. And the fund balance would be at $23.73. And again, a slight decrease to the following years after that in the projection. And then option 3 is really bringing us in at just the 23.13% fund balance, but the overall deficit spend at this point would be $4.4 million going into next school year, if that choice was made. As part of tonight's approvals, I will need you to as part of this presentation, you'll be renewing the dental insurance that we have, and that's just to remain with Delta Dental. And then there's a flexible spending recommendation for us to remain with ASI Flex. And then the final slide is really the recommendations for those things, as well as administration is recommending option 2.5, which includes a maximum 8% increase to that base, that employee-only premium. So the number that the employee-only premium costs today in both of the plans go up 8%. That is not that the others don't go up higher, because again, the amount that is being supplemented by the district varies. So that's a little bit different. I am also making recommendation as administration to normalize the HSA funds for evenly distributed per pay cycle. Again, that's a benchmark norm that we found when we looked at other school districts. We currently deposit $1,000 for family or for individual and $2,000 for family on the very first day of the plan year. And what we had found in our research is that we actually lost about $101,000 by doing that, because if people were to leave, they have to take the money with them. It's not something that you can get back. And so this would just put it even. We would always know exactly who was employed and active, and it would go on their paycheck. And then finally, I would ask that we have currently added this year an additional $1 million to the health fund, as it still struggles with high claims and just really needing to monitor it. It's dipped down to about $5 million, and it needs a reserve of about $7.5 million. So we'll continue to monitor that throughout June 30. And then this recommendation, much like last year, would just give us the ability to move money from our operating to cover those expenses if we need to. And with that, I will see if you have questions.
Questions from the board? Vice President Grady, you were on the Employee Insurance Committee. Do you want to share anything from your experience of the conversation? I think you guys started in what month?
September. I mean, I don't have anything else additional to what we talked about last month. We're in a terrible situation. So, I appreciate all the work that's gone into all of this. I also think that it's important for everyone to understand also that there is zero cost to our teachers.
Individual employees.
Just not just
right.
teachers.
Every
on our
employee has
benefits
free
plan,
insurance,
but
correct.
we pay 100% of every employee individual plan.
Correct.
the increases that we're looking at are primarily around when a spouse is involved, because that is where our extreme medical claims are coming from. And we have to pay all of our medical claims because that's how self-insured works, right?
Correct.
So for me, as we've gone through these discussions, all of our money, we talked about that last year, 83% of all revenue that comes into the district goes into
Salaries and benefits.
Salaries and benefits. So we can pretend that these are two different pools of money, but they're not. And when we have to pull money over to cover our medical claims, which we pulled over, what, 6 million?
11 million
11
last year.
million, sorry, $11 million.
And 1 million this year so far.
Which was, 67% increase?
Correct.
For the
district
district
contribution.
to cover the medical claims, primarily from the spouse piece, right? Like,
Right.
again, it's just a really tough situation. And we talked about last week, where else can we pull money from? So we talked about, pulling some over for operations. We will talk facility master plan also. We also know the risks of that because, to be honest, as we've looked at this, we've used the phrase like kicking the can, but the district has been kicking the can for how many years now? 5, 6? Like it's
multiple.
It's been year after year that we're like, well, we'll just cover. Were those the best decisions? They felt easy and good at the time, but now we find ourselves in a place where we just are. I don't know that there's a way around and really putting some of our employees who carry the insurance for their families and or their spouses in a really hard spot. I also know that we uncovered and you and your team broke down every possible possibility. I mean, we met for an hour and a half, 9 times, looking at all of the comparatives around the districts because we don't want to have people leave us. And so that was a lot of work to figure out, well, what if they went to Zumwalt? What if they went to Wentzville? What if they went to, I don't feel like we left any stone unturned. And so we're left with a really tough decision. On top of that, Missouri just coming out and not fully funding is devastating. Not just for us, but for all public education across this state. We also haven't been able to pass a tax levy this district, I will tell you, does more with less for longer than anything I ever have seen. We looked at our staff to admin ratios. We have the highest. I mean, I don't know what else we can start to cut that will make a significant difference. What we talked about, because again, 83% of all the revenue we pull in goes to our employees by means of insurance, our contributions to their insurance, or their salaries, and their salaries, right? So we're already, that's everything. That's everything we've got. We can't just pull money out of anywhere.
You're correct.
And so at some point, I think, it's a really crass term, I guess, but you hear about FAFO, right? I think we are all, as a state, about to find out if we really care about public education, if we really care about our teachers. I can tell you, everyone up here and everyone in this room cares about the teachers. We care about all of our staff. We're the second largest employer in we raise this community. It's not just, so anyway, this is a long comment, but I say all of that to say, if the community as a whole doesn't start paying attention to what our legislators are doing, and everybody doesn't stop nitpicking about every little thing that hits the news that seems salacious and crazy and judgmental, and then we get diverted, it's hurting everybody and everybody's property values because this community is going to suffer as a whole. It's just, we have to plug in and we have to care. And so we are going to have a really impossible vote today. But I don't know that it's avoidable.
Thank you. Other next comments?
Could I get just one? I know we've gone over this a lot. Oh, I'm sorry.
Absolutely, go first.
I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
Oh, that's right.
So the deficit spending for 2.5, and 3. Could you say that again, what each one is, what the deficit is?
Yes. This is the option 2, and the deficit spending would only be 1.6 million with these assumptions that I have.
Okay.
And then at the 2.5 option would be 3.1 million. And then option 3 would be 4.4 million.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And again, to put that in perspective, if we had another year with the catastrophe high claims that we had over the last year, and we needed to put $11 million more in, we wouldn't have it to pull from. We've already exhausted that $11 million and an additional $1 million this year, so we would really have nothing further to be able to supplement that health insurance fund without making drastic changes.
Could I ask one more thing while I'm on? So I'm confused about how the health savings account works.
Okay.
Is that a great option for people trying to limit what they're paying per month?
It can be viewed in different ways. So sometimes the the high deductible plan will have a seemingly lower cost to the family, but they have to pay that out of pocket all up front and first. And so in many cases, what you'll see is the district will have a base plan, and then whatever that additional cost is, that's what the HSA will equal. So it will not be the same $1,000. It might be $782, we'll say. We didn't find any other district that gave the money to the family. So we are literally the only district that does provide that $2,000 to a family plan. And what you can see in other districts too, that you get it monthly in your paycheck versus lump sum. And so again, that lump sum challenge is because if a person takes the $1,000, then if they leave, that money goes with them. It's part of the way that the federal government just works. So, does that help?
A little. I'm just confused on how it actually plays out against a regular insurance, health insurance policy.
You'll have like a copay versus no copay. So in your high deductible, you're just going to pay and pay and pay until you hit that number, and then everything else is paid by this bucket of money. Okay. So even in some cases, I was looking at which of the people groups hit their full deductible and their full out of pocket. And again, it's that spouse group. That spouse group is the one that's hitting both of those categories. And then everything else on top of that is going to come out of the self-insurance fund that we're all contributing to.
Thank you. Obviously, this is a very serious thing for us to be deciding. I know that all of our staff are either watching or will be talking about this tomorrow. So in order to make sure that I captured my thoughts coherently, I've written down a short statement so I make sure that I get through everything with what I wanted to say, so please bear with me. I want to start by thanking the insurance company for the time and work they put into reviewing these options. I'm well aware that there was no good options to present or recommend, and this isn't yours or anyone else's fault in the district. This is the result of rising healthcare costs while our revenue stays the same and other operating costs continue to increase. I also want to thank Dr. St. John for being willing to listen to our ideas, suggestions, and questions over the last few weeks. I know a lot of work went into analyzing the data, let alone presenting it in the multiple ways. Since the first draft was presented and following the recent workshop, I've agonized over the numbers and tried to come up with ideas or different approaches to make the increase more palatable. Option 5 was my suggestion I made during the workshop, and clearly it would not work for us. I know we sadly have to make changes to our benefits, as what we are paying isn't sustainable and we can't ignore the rising cost of healthcare. With that said, I can't support the recommendation being presented. My concern is not that employee contributions have to increase. My concern, as I've mentioned, is the size of the increase and the amount of time employees have to digest it. We have offered this type of coverage for dependents for decades. When staff signed their contracts this spring, I think it was reasonable for them to expect some increase in health insurance costs, but I do not think it was reasonable for them to expect an increase this significant. We are also at the end of the school year. That is not enough time to communicate these changes to our staff before they leave for the summer, and I don't think it gives employees enough time to budget before the new plans take effect in October. I agree with the committee's recommendation that children should be prioritized when considering premium increases for dependents. I also understand the argument that spouses may have other options, and that covering someone who doesn't work here may prevent us from moving forward with other requests. But the rate of increase is too steep to implement this quickly, especially for employees who may not have a lot of flexibility in their budget. This will not affect everyone equally, and I'm especially concerned about the impact on our lower paid staff, as well as the high risk of losing support staff over the summer with limited time to fill positions before the start of the school year. I'm not against making changes to our dependent coverage, but for the reasons I mentioned, these changes need to be made to be more manageable and phased in more responsibly. As I've said previously, I would like to see an off-ramp with more manageable increases for the 26-27 school year while we wait for the results of the dependent eligibility audit. If we feel at that time that we are still in the same position, we should communicate with our staff as early as possible about what changes they can expect in 2027. Finally, a phrase that I learned during a servant leadership class that has stuck with me is, train your staff so they can leave, but treat them in a way so they don't want to. Giving our staff a year with lower increases and enough time to get familiar with what to expect in 27 demonstrates that we are treating our staff fairly and respectfully. Thank you.
Thank you. Or
I've gone over these numbers repeatedly. I just want to make sure I'm clear. So all staff can be insured individually for free.
Correct.
That does not change.
Correct.
So we're up here debating.
It's a board policy.
How we're going to impact, based on the numbers presented, 35% of our employees. And figure out how much we're going to go into our remaining money. And I also agree there's no good option, and I'm not really sure what to recommend either. I'm just sharing thoughts out there that this is a pain about. There's no legislation that I'm aware of that is tackling healthcare in the state of Missouri.
I mean, not that I'm aware of.
And these numbers assume we basically have a smaller increase than we saw this year. And we saw the big jump in how much we had to reinsure.
This year, the increase was 16.8%.
And we assume it will not, these numbers assume it won't be as much next year.
I can't tell you what insurance will go up. It's 12.5% this year.
So if it goes up that much, these aren't even right.
No, this is the 12.5% that we're going to have for the next plan year. I can't tell you what's going to happen year after year.
So it could be even worse next year.
Correct. Correct.
No questions.
Other board comments?
Yeah, me. So, thank you for doing all of this. I know that you put a lot of work into it. I know that the committee spent a lot of time on this. It's been months in the making. So, I appreciate everybody's time and work on this. And just to speak plainly, I mean, it sucks, guys. Like, no matter what we decide, it's not going to feel good. Is that better? Okay, yay. Okay. So, sorry. Thank you so much, everybody, for putting all the time in. Because I know a lot of hours went into this. And like I just said, it sucks. Like, it sucks having to do it. Like, it's just, it doesn't feel good. Healthcare increases have been off the charts this year. My own out-of-pocket max for my family is almost $15,000. So, I don't love it. I really don't. But at the same time, all of our employees have access to healthcare at the base plan. And feel free to contact me if you're upset with what I'm about to say, but if by putting the cost of the spouse onto the employees means that we get to put another body in a classroom, how can I deny that? I mean, I'm always going to support smaller class sizes over everything. So that's where I stand.
Thank you.
So a couple things. One, you presented 2.5 tonight. What was the reason behind 2.5? We talked about the work session. It was 2 and 3.
It was
So
a
2.5.
compromise to sort of stair step along the lines of actually what Director Adams was just mentioning, and I think you had mentioned that as well at the last meeting. It's a gradual step, but preserved employee children. So employee children, again, remember at the base is only about $60 different going into next year. It is a little bit more in the high deductible, as I mentioned, but again, families have the option to move to the base and have a very small change if that is the case. In both of those, in 2.5, both the base and the high deductible, will see increases for that employee spouse and for that employee family. And again, it's really to try to see if the spouse has another option, whether that be on the open market or potentially that they already have available.
Also, there's 2 other attachments onto this agenda item. If you might want to look at it, it's option 2.5, both base plan and high deductible plan. And I want to call out that option 2.5, if passed, the district would pay 100% of the employee-only costs, 47.8% of the employee plus spouse cost, 63.69% of the employee plus child cost. That's because the Employee Insurance Committee wanted to prioritize especially employees who may be carrying the burden of insuring their kids. And the employee plus family, the district would be paying 44.24%. And what you have shared is that those numbers are much higher than our comparative districts in St. Charles County.
We definitely still have a premium plan as compared to Fort Zumwalt and Winsville, where they pay only the employee costs throughout each plan, regardless of what the person chooses.
When you're looking at that particular chart, we've seen that chart for a little while. So keep it right there. What month is that referring to?
As I state there at the bottom, this is always what the June 30th fund balance percentage would be. So this is what is reported on what's called the ASBR, and this is what you calculate all of the revenue that's budgeted and all of the expenditures that are budgeted, and then you are able to calculate what that fund balance is. How much of your revenue do you have left over, your balance left over in order to pay for your expenses?
What part of the year is the low water mark for a school budget?
It's going to be in the fall before you start to receive your local taxes.
So just like a person's individual budget, their individual checking account, you have the high water mark, you get paid, but it's important not to function as if that's how much money you have, because you don't have 30 days worth of costs that have to be paid out of that number. So what we're seeing is a number that we're trying to keep above that particular line. In a previous presentation, you shared that historically, there were times when this school district had to freeze raises and skip steps.
Correct.
Those marks were listed about 20%.
20% and below is when it gets scary.
20% and below. And
you have to get a loan for payroll.
Right. And so what is on my mind is both the care and support of teachers and staff now and care and support of teachers and staff in the future. Right. Those are some of the values that I'm bringing into this conversation. I've shared this before. I'm a competitive guy. It's nice to be able to say that we have better employee insurance than than our neighboring districts that are in St. Charles County. St. Louis County has different rules, different funding mechanisms, so it's not quite apples to apples there. Other pieces, just for people who are watching, because we're self-insurance, if we guess wrong in terms of how much money all of the insurance needs, benefit needs are going to be, we pay it, right? We have to supplement, we have to pay anything that is beyond what we are preparing for.
We have stop loss insurance at $250,000, but anything up to that $250,000 past the $4,000 out-of-pocket max or whichever plan it would be on, everything up in that area, that's what this bucket of money is going to pay for.
Could you pull up the slide that had all the different bar graphs in? So I want to point this out.
You might look the way it's going to.
I know it's right near the beginning. There we go. And this is just calling out to those of you who are watching online as well. Because of the public support of public education in defeating Proposition RT, we have $4 million in our budget that we would not have had otherwise. And so I want to thank the public for their hard work to make sure that happens. Next year, it would have been a $7 million loss and then beyond. You have shared that there's a funding change happening in Jefferson City where the amount of money that we are expecting to get based upon what was communicated months ago has not been fulfilled. The state did not fulfill the promise for that funding. And the difference between what was promised and fulfilled is about how much?
Over 2 years, it's going to be $9.3 million lost over this year and next year, what is expected. And I'll cover that a little bit more in the next presentation, but yes.
And so I want to share that. The board is responsible to make the wisest decision with the information we have available. We have certain levers that we can pull to improve our financial situation. And we're going to have a conversation later on about 2 of those levers that we could potentially pursue and what that might do for the district. There are things upstream from the board that are damaging our ability to care for our staff and teachers. And if you're angry about it, I just want you to know that I'm angry about it too. And I'm spending my time to make sure that those teachers and those staff have as many things available to them as possible. It's horrible. And on top of that, Senate Bill 1002 was passed that confines our ability to pull levers to support teachers and staff and the kids who benefit when teachers and staff are supported. That we're confined to even year Novembers. That means the Jefferson City legislators, doesn't matter if there's a D or R by the name, I don't care. I care about the green involved with it. They can make a horrible decision in an odd number of year, but we still have to wait to an even number of November just to respond to it.
Right.
So they did not confine their ability to defund schools to certain moments. And it's just our county. It was just our county. So I am upset, use my feeling words, I am upset at the fact that multiple things are in line. I'm upset because it's going to hurt people that we all care about. And we have to make wise decisions with the numbers that are in front of us. Pull the levers that we can. And I appreciate you presenting the numbers as clearly as you have.
I just have one other question too. I know next month we're finalizing budget and everything like that, but at this point, with option 2.5, we will still be likely operating in a deficit.
$3.1 million. Yeah, in my next presentation, I'll break that down a little bit more for you.
But I think that's important to note.
There's not a good answer.
For this conversation too, that we are already going to be operating in a deficit. Yeah.
Even with the most extreme plan, which would mirror what Fort Zumwalt and Winsville have, we would still deficit spend. So to your point, there's not a good answer. None of these are good answers. It's just the lowest in the green option 1 is just to show you what it would look like if we were Fort Zumwalt or Winsville and follow that same thinking. And so it would drastically drop us down in how much savings there would be, but that's still not low enough for us to recover from what the state funding is doing to us.
And that does that 3.1 million deficit also include keeping our keeping the 5.5 million instead of the 7 million, or is that?
I'll break it down in the next presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you go to slide 25, please? So option 2.5, we're really asking if that's what's recommended. An employee and spouse is going to spend $400 more a month than they do now. Employee with child will only spend $60 more a month.
Correct.
Now it's not nothing. But then we're also families are not going to spend $628 a month.
Right. Because again, it's adding that spouse back in there.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just making sure when the board is looking at this recommendation that's what we're looking at.
And again, that's based on data.
the spouse that are in the plan currently are 51% of the claims.
And then option 3 is the same for the first two, but it reduces the family to only an extra $100.
But 2.5 was created to
I understand.
move us closer to option 2,
We're looking
which would
at-
align us.
I'm trying to relate it back to an individual person.
Correct.
What is an employee actually going to be paying on? And understand what my vote is going to impact. And it's the $400, the $60, the $600.
On the base, and then the next slide shows you what it would be on the high deductible, which I mentioned is a little higher, but again, maybe review what plan works best for your family, and the base plan would be cheaper, potentially.
What other comments?
I have forgotten what number of spouses were involved this year in taking insurance.
235.
Okay. Out of what number total?
There's 4,000 people, belly
Right.
buttons that we talk about.
Right.
One more piece of information just want to name out there is that over the last, is it 3 or 4 years, that staff have been asked to increase their contribution towards premiums for about 2.9%, and in that same time frame, the district has increased its support towards increasing health insurance costs at 67%.
Correct.
Okay, so
Absorbing the overall costs that were being incurred, correct.
so it's not as if the staff hasn't, the district hasn't listened to the needs and responded generously in the past. The question is, do we have the money to respond generously now? And the information looks different because we spent $11 million backfilling. And losing, again, what's that number again? How much million?
9.3 million over the next 2 years. That we would have been receiving from the state that we will not receive.
And anything that we basically pull, I can't remember who said that too, like this, Sarah. I mean, the lever, the main lever that we have is people.
Correct. That would be the next expense that you would start to talk about if
So that's like
if we needed to
letting
move
people
towards
go,
right.
or definitely not adding the roles that
Right.
FISA is asking us to do.
No.
So we can't hire the new people that we know we need, and possibly have to eliminate roles and start looking down that path. Like
Correct.
that's the lever that we have. I just want to make sure that that's
Correct.
All right, board, any additional comments or questions? For clarity's sake, is the motion before us to approve the option 2.5 and the subsequent dental insurance listed?
Jane, I think last time it was just to accept the recommendation. Yeah.
Yeah, and so.
It'll take care of that whole page.
So we don't need to add additional language, we just need to be aware of what we're voting on. What we're
Right.
voting on is, yeah, yes.
Mhm.
Any other comments, board? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
I just want to check on our student who has a school day tomorrow, her final day of the school year, and I want you to feel free to just kind of tell us when you're ready, and if it's now, great, we'll take a little pause, and or if you want to stay a little while longer and
You guys want
explore
to
some
stay?
more topics.
You want to go?
Want to say anything about
Okay. Would you like to stay or go?
No, if we have to stop it, you have to stop.
Yeah. Maybe ask her mother.
Jasmine, would you like to stay or go?
Maybe I'll go now.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
We understand.
We appreciate
Everybody, thank you so much,
having you.
Jasmine.
Thank you.
We are really proud of you, and the fact that in the beginning of your talk that honors you, you spent the first 30 seconds honoring the other students who are here. I think that says an awful lot about you, your family, teachers, especially you. So thank you, Jasmine, for being an example.
Thank you.
have a great last day of school as well.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Exciting.
Board, I have a motion to approve the finance and operations report as presented.
Second.
Dillard, followed by Adams. Deputy Superintendent, Finance and Operations Officer, Dr. Amy St. John, will present.
Yes, thank you. This is just the monthly finance and operations update with a few additives as the legislation has changed in the state formula. So I'm going to give you a little bit more information about that. But as always, I just thank you for the opportunity to provide an update for the 25-26 school year. Under Strategic Plan Pillar 3, transparency is important in making sure that the community and the board remain informed in a timely manner each month as we share these updates about the operating budget, any amendments that are necessary, the bond financials, and the self-insurance revenue and expenditures, as well as a legislative update. This month, this is the budget amendment transfer page. There are no amendments for this month, so there is an unchanged fund balance at the bottom of 27.18%. So I'll just kind of move through that. The next series of slides, I would like to explain to you in a little bit more depth about the the state adequacy target, or what we call as the SAT. So we'll begin here with about a year ago now, what we believed were the expectations coming out of the DESE financial memos. They were telling us that the calculated SAT was going to move to $7,145. However, most seasoned veterans know that you don't really always believe DESE. And so Carol Embry had conservatively budgeted at $69.42 per student, and that would have the $7,145 would have given us $6.4 million. However, with that conservative approach, we were right. And so the actual payment was coming in each month and only paying at $6,900, so not at the $7,145. And so our conservative budget using the $6,942 brought us in that $3.2 million that we expected, but we did not receive the $3.2 million that wasn't paid to us. So in this current year, we're not having to show you a budget amendment because we were conservatively budgeted, but we are receiving less money this year than we were told a year ago. So a year ago, we would have thought that we would have 6.4 million. Instead, today we have 3.2. So we're in the same predicament. However, it's worse. Now they've come out and they have said the calculated SAT is $7,145, but there's no way there's enough money to pay that. And so the projection is coming out at saying that the beginning would be paying, or the next school year will only be paying $6,900. And what we know is at the beginning of a school year, the fund will actually pay less and work its way up to that number. So what we know to be conservative is to come in at $6,700, and it will be monitored each month as it is today. But we wanted to make sure that you understand why we choose that number and how it worked in our favor this year and not having to make a large amendment during this year. However, with that projected $3.2 million that I have been telling you each and every month that we thought was going to be coming because they were going to fully fund that formula, I had to then bring it down that 3.2 and again bring it down further another 2.9 million, which is an overall $6.1 million loss. If you add those two together, and this is what you were alluding to, over the 2 years, we've had a $3.2 million loss, the one that we're living, and the next year it will be a $6.1 million loss to what we were told a year ago we would be receiving as a school district, which is a grand total of $9.3 million if we do get $6,700. So again, there are some that are saying it may come in a little lower than that. The latest they talk about it includes funny money is the way that they talk about it, because it's lottery, gaming, cigarette tax, and that is trending down and has been trending down for a while. And so if that doesn't come to fruition, then you get to the end of the year and they just don't pay you what they've told you that they would pay you. So that is the predicament that we're in. I want to just lay that out for you and understand the history where we are right now and what we're projecting for next year.
Can I ask a quick question? Sure. So that's what's coming in, but also, like, it's probably going to feel like more than that. Also, I would guess, with just the cost of
everything going down,
everything
right?
Going
so
on. So
which leads
like,
to this page, right? Which leads to this page. So this page, I show it to you each month as well, but that top box is starting to go flat or go negative. So what we did see is our new construction is up, and so we do expect to have 2% more in local taxes, which will generate $2.5 million. However, with this information I just shared with you from the state, and we go backwards, the 2.9, that doesn't even cover that what we just said is going to come in. So then we're behind the game already in revenue. However, we've already agreed to the 3% increase in salaries, which is $4.7 million. And then by choosing option 2.5, since that was my recommendation, I did include that in here. That does save us $2.1 million, but that's not enough. That's why we still end with a deficit. And this keeps our purchase services and our supplies at a 0% change. And we know that's not possible. We know that software goes up. We know that curriculum goes up. We know that just the school supplies that a classroom gets outfitted with will go up. What that means is you get the same amount of money, you just won't get the same amount of stuff. And so each budget leader, as we have worked with them, we've asked them, if you do have an increase in this area, is there anything that you can cut back on in that particular budget group so that we can have a net zero? And so that's what we plan to deliver when we come in 2 weeks with the full budget information. But at this point, you are at the $3.1 million deficit. I would like to address the $5 million transfer to capital, since that gets talked about quite a bit. That is an option that we can change. This is a directive each time. You can see that the number has been varied throughout the years. It's sometimes called the 7% transfer because DESI calculates how much you actually can move from your operating into your capital to take care of your buildings. Or you can have a flat number. So in projections, oftentimes you'll see a flat number of $5 million in our case. That $5 million, if we pulled back on that and we kept it in our operating, it would affect the bottom line. The fund balance would improve because we wouldn't be taking that money and moving it into capital. However, the buildings have already told us all the things that they need to have done. You approved many things tonight and a few more coming. That we have roofs that need to be fixed, we have curbs that need to be fixed, we have software that needs to be purchased, we have things that have to be done. And if we take that money away, it's at that decision that you just asked about, Amy. Like it's not like it was just sitting there doing nothing. It's already earmarked, if you will, to do the projects that we know our buildings need. So you can do it for 1 year, but it would never be recommended to do it for more than 1 year. And frankly, we already have a pretty long list of things that need to be taken care of. So I just want to make sure everybody understood how that $5 million part works. This is the same information, just in a graphical form. These are the bond financials. Not much has changed. We're getting ready to go into that phase 2 final of Prop S, and so the bond funds will be spent out and closed out probably early next fall. This is the self-insurance financials that I mentioned. In the top box middle, you can see where we're $5.1 million. So we're really $2 million behind what we need to have in a reserve. And so that's why in that last motion, we'll be able to move money from operating if we need to, just depending. We'll watch this as we go into the final months of our final weeks of this year. That's just a reminder of what we had talked about with the insurance. This is the legislative update, and I had provided one full page for Senate Bill 1002. I wanted to make sure that both our public and our board were very aware of the change that is taking effect on August the 28th of 2026, should the governor sign this into law. The key changes that we will see for St. Charles County only will be the school board elections will move to a traditional, from the election date to November general elections. The school board terms will change from 3 years to 4 years. Candidates may choose to list their political affiliation on the ballot, and any future ballot issues involving new taxes, levy increases, levy renewals, or bonded indebtedness must also appear on a November general election. Which brings me to the area that I've called out for you here. We brought to you a facility master plan earlier in the school year, and with that we had done projections with both Hollis and Miller when they had prepared it, as well as with Piper Sandler, and just explaining how the debt service works. And we had planned on an April 2027 ballot. However, that's not an option for us any longer. So I'm drawing that to your attention to make you understand that we will need to move to a November general election of an even numbered year in order for us to be able to put that on a ballot, which happens to be November 2026. So it's moving forward. And you wouldn't want to move it backwards, because that's only going to create a higher cost for anything that we've already identified as an urgent need. Because in the facility master plan, we call out the areas of need that are for 1 to 3 years. So that is an urgent need that would need to take care of in the schools. I'll pause there in case you have questions particular to that, because I know we were just talking about it in the last conversation. Good. Additional 2026 wrap-up. Oddly, I did speak to you many times about the things that were really kind of coming along with the property tax reform. Not one single one passed. In terms of the budget, it is being underfunded $362.7 million over the school years of 26 and 27. And Governor Kehoe has the authority to continue to restrict funds or use executive actions to affect school districts, if he so chooses. School choice did not pass. We are not concerned about open enrollment or charter school expansion at this point. The A to F report card did not pass. However, the State Education Board and DESE retain administrative authority. It is now a question of how it will be structured and related to the Missouri MSEP. The literacy bills did not pass. And the income tax drawn out there's a link to that particular piece of legislation. Is we are waiting to hear if it will be on the August 2026 or the November 2026 ballot. And this is this entire session, not one educational omnibus bill was passed. Talking about the school funding and modernization task force, there are some things that are starting to be shared in timelines in that, which I had covered with you before. In terms of December 1 is when they will deliver to the governor what that will look like. And so that SAT thing that I just explained to you, that's all going to go away and change. We will limp along with that until probably the year 29-30, and then this will get implemented in that year. This will reset how it is looked at, how much local effort is being paid by a school district. It's most likely going to be tied to significant shifts in terms of student measures, which our current one is not tied to student measures. It's about enrollment and membership of students and their attendance. So looking at things like early literacy, middle school and math, ELA growth, college and career readiness, measurable student outcomes. So you're also starting to see the A to F report card and the funding formula being tied to those student measures, which will be new. We don't currently have. In other news, good things are happening, work in progress. That benefit analysis, certainly that team has done amazing work leading up to this, and then of course carrying out with the new platform that they're on. We'll be bringing you the budget recommendation on June the 4th, continuing to monitor any legislation, and I say that because remember Senate Bill 3 actually occurred over the summer last year, and so that wasn't something that many of us were paying attention to, so our eyes are definitely wide open for that. And then phase 2 of the HVAC system will occur over the summer. And our food service and nutrition, with the help of Scott Gowan, will be getting a new point of sale system, and all food lunch balances will be paid through Infinite Campus. And I think our families will be very happy because RevTrack has been difficult. So that'll happen next school year. And with that, do you have any questions?
So you're gonna bring this budget on June 4th. And my understanding, so last year, this state said they're going to give us so much money. We didn't believe them. We went under that, and they failed to meet that. They had a chance to fund it, and they still didn't do that, so now we're short money. For this upcoming budget, they're saying we're going to give you even less this year, and our budget's going to be under that number.
Correct. It's not wise to believe them.
I understand that. How do you pick how far underneath their inability to fund public schools do you go?
A rule of thumb is whatever the difference is, split that, and then call 10 other people and say, what are you going to use?
So it's really kind of we're guessing,
it's a guessing game,
what
yes.
the state might actually give us.
Correct, but we know every single month when we receive our payment, the 20th of the month, you can very easily see if it's on track or not on track. So you're monitoring it constantly and informing the Board of Education in terms of if we need to make a change.
Let's make sure that people listening understand that we're not bad at budgeting.
No, we were good at budgeting.
The state's bad at giving us what they said they would promise.
They are severely underfunded, almost to the tune of $400 million underfunding public schools.
That's it?
$400 million.
Yes, thank you.
And can I just share, underfunding public schools while increasing Missouri Scholars by an additional $10 million for next year, taking that from $50 million to $60 million. million. So we're using public funds to increase the opportunities to enroll in private schools while decreasing public school funds.
And do those private schools have any public oversight from voters on how they spend money?
They do not.
No.
No accountability either.
And no, they don't take everyone. And they don't have special services. And almost 90% of the students in this state go to public schools.
Sometimes I just want to give like Kiralee like 60 seconds on the clock.
I got more if you want it.
I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it. Are there any other questions? We'll go over here.
In your experience, have you heard what the money that was supposed to come to public education has been given to instead, or is it just a mystery as to how it's allocated?
Part of it went to Missouri Scholars. That's one portion of it, and the other piece of it just didn't arrive. So they overestimated their revenues at the state level to calculate that SAT, and then people didn't gamble enough, smoke enough, or didn't spend those monies. Sports gambling wasn't high enough, lottery wasn't high enough. And it's trending the wrong direction. So if anybody wants to go out and smoke and drink, no, I'm just kidding. To help public schools.
For the record, you are not advocating for
I'm not. That was a
smoke.
joke, sorry. Probably a bad joke.
Well, I think we still have the lowest tax on cigarettes and tobacco in this state.
So there's a whole different collection of all the different reasons, but we're going to keep focus on the direct impact on public schools. Any other questions regarding this presentation?
One final question, and maybe Superintendent Delaney knows it, the answer just because of the time that you've been spending in Jefferson City. Dr. St. John mentioned either the workshop or the meeting before that we personally are underfunded because so much of our percentage of revenue comes from the local level. Do the legislators care that while that may be true percentage-wise, we're not getting anything more from the local level than we were since 2004? Has that factored into their decision? Have they commented in any way that they're aware that we're not getting money from the local level that we are hoping to?
Yeah, I think the hard part is the state has declining revenues as well. So, the economy is trending down, and so the state is taking in less money, which impacts how much they're going to distribute to schools. Dr. St. John did a great job of explaining funny money, and I learned something new about funny money this year, that part of those projections, and I'll make up a number, the state might say, we're going to get $140 million in lottery money this year and in that cigarette tax, and we haven't gotten $140 million in the last 7 years. So it would be like you saying, my salary this year is $60,000, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that my employer might just throw in $30,000 extra, and I'm going to spend like I'm going to get that extra $30,000, which none of us would do. And so that's the complication, and that's why people like Dr. St. John have to be conservative in their approach to trying to figure out what is that SAT money going to be, because there are so many moving targets in what she has to predict. I don't envy the shoes that she is in and what she's had to go through this year in trying to project what this is going to look like. So she knows how much I appreciate the work that she does, for sure.
Any other questions or comments? I just want to one more time to say thank you. We understand that numbers change a lot, especially in Missouri right now. Numbers are changing a lot, and it's hard for us to make decisions based upon uncertain data and the possibility of future defunding efforts, which you identified a few that tried. So I want to thank not only you, but the rest of your team for giving us the best information you can given the situation. So
Shout out to Julie Walsh.
Shout out to Julie Walsh. Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Board, I have a motion to approve the purchases as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Director Dillard, Vice President Greider. Any questions, board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes. I don't. No. All right, board, I have a motion to approve Commerce Bank as a lease option for the technology purchases.
So moved.
Vice President Greider, second by Director Adams. Questions, board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Again, on agenda items like that, if you're listening, if the board isn't asking questions, it's because the board has looked at this throughout the last week and they've already had opportunities to ask questions as well. And some of those questions are listed in the agenda items. Board, I have a motion to approve the purchase of furniture as part of the district's life cycle replacement as presented. Vice President Greider.
Second.
Second by Director Dillard. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes. Board, I have a motion to approve CCR Roofing to provide labor and material for roof section replacement at Daniel Boone Elementary as presented.
So moved.
Director Adams. Vice President Greider. Questions, board? Are you presenting on this topic or the next one?
Both.
Gotcha. Right. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Board. During the March 2026 Board meeting, the administration recommended a budget placeholder of $845,000, and the Board approved the letting of bids for roof improvements at Daniel Boone Elementary. 2 bids were received on May 5th. Frederick Roofing was the low bid. However, they qualified working hours as well as a substantial completion date. CCR Roofing submitted the lowest qualified bid, resulting in the administration recommending the board award a contract to CCR Roofing for a total hard cost of $536,287, plus a 5% contingency, which would bring the total hard cost to $563,101. For your awareness, the full project cost, including soft costs, is $594,561, which is roughly $250,000 under the budget placeholder amount recommended to the board in March. Before you vote, I do want to turn it over to Mr. Justin Durham with Howell Miller, who will share some basic information regarding the bid process, the qualifying of the bids, and the construction schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Stutzer. There's a few things that I wanted to go over this evening, really 3 points. And I won't belabor those. I'll move pretty quickly through this. So, as Mr. Stutzer said, in March, we did approve a budget of $845,000. You'll notice that he also said that we came in almost $250,000 below that. So I wanted to offer you guys a reason for that outcome. So when we do things like roof improvements, we do walk them like we did to the facility master plan. We can't necessarily see what the condition is under that roof membrane. So during the design process, what we do is we do what we call take cores and we do scans of the roof. There are some codes that tell us that if there's 2 layers of roofing, we have to remove the entire thing down to deck and then start fresh with new insulation and everything. And then what does qualify us for what we call an overlay, so that's just where we lay a membrane over the top of the existing, is that if there's only 1 layer and the roof is predominantly dry. So during the design process, we did those investigations that we don't typically do as a typical walkthrough like a long range or a master plan. And we did find that several of the roof areas were dry and they only had 1 layer of roof. So that decreases that cost. So that's the reason for those savings. The second thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, as Dr. St. John mentioned, as phase 2 of the HVAC replacement, a good portion of that is happening here at Daniel Boone. So during the design process, we also met with the HVAC company that's doing that work, made sure that we were coordinated with what they were doing and what we were doing. And so as Mr. Stutzer said, to talk about the timeline, those 2 things are going to start concurrently. They're going to take most of the summer to do the HVAC. So we have worked through with the documents that we put out for bid and then also confirmed a few things with our bidders that the HVAC and a few of the roofing areas will happen immediately. And then HVAC work will continue throughout the summer and our roofing contractors will follow. And what that means is we're going to start now, but we have also allowed the roofers a little bit of additional time up to October 23rd to finish that process. So that brings me to the third point that I wanted to discuss with you guys tonight. Mr. Sussor also said that we are not moving forward with the low bid because they qualified their bid. And what we mean by a qualified bid is we set forth in the contract documents that we put out to bidders some stipulations. And on this one, we wanted to have those contractors, those roofers, work a second shift. So they're not above our students and our staff during the day while they're having class. It may not be a big deal, but we want to be as less disruptive as we can possibly be. And then the second thing was we allowed them till October 23rd to finish the project. So the two qualifications that were made by Frederick Roofing, and it's totally fine that they did this, but this is why we did not move forward with them. They wanted to work during normal working hours throughout the day. So they would be above our students and staff throughout the day. And they also wanted until November 15th to finish the project. What we cannot tell you is if they bid that project apples to apples, as CCR did, as they followed the documents, what difference in price that may bring. So when we bring forward the recommendation tonight to move forward with CCR Roofing, it's because they set forth and they bid based on what we asked them to do in the contract documents. So with that, I'll open it up to you guys for questions if you have.
Do you know why they wouldn't bid a second shift work?
I do not. A lot of times it's a labor differential of some companies may not ask their gentlemen to work or their workers to work, outside of normal hours. So it could just be a company preference. Yeah.
Does the roofer that you're recommending, do they employ union workers?
We bid prevailing wage, so we don't ask if they're union or non-union. What we do to make sure though is when we get pay applications that they have stated all of their hours as prevailing wage.
Okay. And are they a local company, like they originate from the county?
I don't know if CCR is local or not.
They are not, and just as a reminder to the board, when we put out specifications, we can't specify a union. It's against state statute to do that. The other piece is this specific roofer bid last year's work, and the board awarded them a contract. They're not local, but they are in the state of Missouri. I believe they're in the Blue Springs, Missouri.
Yeah, I just found that. Thank you.
Yeah. Any additional questions that we can provide clarity on before the board takes a vote?
So this is a vote, again, to approve CCR Roofing to provide labor and material for roof section replacement at Daniel Boone Elementary. That's first and second. Any other comments, board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Board, I have a motion to approve Ford Asphalt to provide labor and material for pavement improvements at Independence Elementary, Westwood Trail Academy, and the track surface at Barnwell Middle School as presented. Vice President Greider.
Second.
Treasurer McGuire. Mr. Stutzer.
Yep. Thank you again, board. So again, during the March 26 board meeting, the administration recommended a budget placeholder of $1,250,000, and the board approved the letting of bids for pavement improvements at Independence Elementary, Westwood Trail Academy, and track resurfacing at Barnwell Middle. 6 bids were received on May 5th, and the administration recommends Ford Asphalt for a base bid of $800,000, plus selected alternates totaling $814,000 in hard cost, and then including a 5% contingency for a total project cost of $891,450. The total project cost, when you factor in soft costs, those are Hollis & Miller fees and other engineering fees, is $954,276, which is $296,000 under the recommended budget placeholder that was shared with you in March. So again, before you vote, I do want to give Mr. Durham an opportunity to share some basic information about this bid, including completion dates.
Thank you, Mr. Stutzer. So this one's a little bit easier for me to explain. So with roofing, you can't necessarily see what's there, but asphalt we can. We can look at the parking lot. We took measurements, and if you guys did take a chance to look at our bid estimates along with some of the bid results, you'll notice that we were right in line with the majority of the bidders with our estimates. We just got really lucky. So we had 6 bidders, and anytime that we can bring more than 2 or 3 bidders to the table, it's usually to the owner's benefit. It drives the cost down. When we did debrief with Ford Asphalt, they told us very clearly that they were looking to do additional summer work. They kind of count on the Francis Howell School District work. It sounds like that they have done work for us every year since 2021. So they've come to look for those projects. they left spots in their schedule for us, and it shows on bid day. So that's really, estimates were very accurate on this one. We just got a very hungry, good contractor that's worked with us for years. He bid it that way again, and we get to reap the rewards of that. So this job will be done in August, so they plan to start as soon as school gets out. So here maybe in the next week or two, we'll see them on site doing some of the work at the different sites, and then we will be done in that first week of August or so. So we're waiting on a full schedule from the contractor site by site, and we'll know those dates at each individual location very, very soon. And then we did have the alternates that Mr. Stutzer talked about. So alternate one was for us to go with some concrete sidewalks versus asphalt sidewalks in front of Independence. So it was an even wash to go with the alternate of $22,000 for that additional sidewalk, because they also said $22,000 for asphalt. So anytime we can get concrete at the same price as asphalt, that's a win for us. It's going to last us longer. So that was that one. Alternate 3 and 4, those are all at the track at Barnwell, and so that is to pave. There's an asphalt area just adjacent to the east of the track that's between the school and the track, and we're going to overlay that with brand new asphalt. And then on the northeast corner, there is a small drive that kind of comes down but doesn't quite lead all the way to the track. Alternate 4 is to connect the current drive all the way to the track, so that if we're moving things on and off of the track, we don't have to go from asphalt to grass back to asphalt. So those are the alternates that we did accept. They were good competitive prices, and they fit within our budget.
Just a couple of things to note. Alternate number 2, the sidewalk. So for those of you that are familiar with Independence, you've got the neighborhood kind of behind. Right now, the city portion ends right at the property line of where the district is. So with our students who walk, they're forced to walk into the road. And so we're going to connect a sidewalk that brings them, that connects the sidewalk will connect where the city ends and picks up on district property, directing students all the way to the entry point of the building, which will increase safety for that campus. So again, before you for consideration is a recommendation for the asphalt as presented, and be happy to take any additional questions the board may have.
Questions, board? When you come underneath budget, does the money roll into future capital projects? Is that what it is? Like, so when we have a considerable beneath budget on 2 different ones tonight, right? Where does that money go into? The next one on the list. Was it?
Goes to the next thing on the list.
Addresses the next thing on the list, and yeah.
It does, and our strategy has always been to not try to spend those dollars right away. What will end up happening throughout the course of a school year, so I'll just use after winter season. Asphalt, while we're just on the topic of asphalt, just due to the salt that's put down, to create traction for vehicles, as well as salt that's put on the sidewalks to create safe passage for our staff and students and community in general. Salt obviously is corrosive, and so you end up developing potholes and sections of sidewalk that need to be replaced. So some of those dollars end up being reinvested in some of those larger cost repairs through the capital program, as opposed to operating. As a reminder, that type of work, any work around 5,000 has to be coded to capital expenditure.
Thank you. Anything else, board?
But anything that is left would typically, we try to go address another need on the list, and if we can't do that, it'll roll over back into the capital fund balance. And
I appreciate you just making that comment. We've heard other presentations where sometimes, for reasons that we can't predict, the final cost is above what was budgeted. So it offsets and it balances out to some degree. I wanted people to know that whatever was saved, there's another purpose that's already for it, because we had 2.9 million square feet of building to take care of.
Closer to 3.2 with some of the work that I'll share with you on the bond program. Some of those buildings and additions that are coming online puts us closer to 3.2, 3.3 million square feet. And you're absolutely right. I think if you look in your purchase for prior approval, there was one recommendation that came in over budget on intercoms. We had a last minute ad, I believe, for Bryan Middle to replace their intercom system because we just can't keep it up and running. And so what we had brought to you in March as a budget placeholder for that, it actually ended up coming in above because we added a site.
Just one question from our knowledge. The Barnwell track, are they also going to repaint the lines afterwards?
Yes, that's part of the scope.
Board, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, board, we have a discussion about the district's long-range planning options. This includes no tax increase debt service levy transfer and a no tax rate increase bond. Mr. Delaney.
Thank you, President Blair. I'm going to have a statement I'd like to share with the board and with the public. Missouri Senate Bill 1002 moves St. Charles County School Board elections to the November general election and extends board member terms to 4 years. Any local tax levies or bond initiatives in St. Charles County only must be voted on during the November general election. The bill passed and is expected to be signed into law by Governor Mike Kehoe. Senate Bill 1002 changes the previously planned work and discussion regarding a debt service levy transfer, as well as the recommendation to seek approval on a no tax rate increase bond issue for continued capital projects within our school district. As you will remember, back in October of 2025, the board met and had a meeting with Brent Blevins from Piper Sandler, and he presented to the Board of Education options for a debt service levy transfer, as well as options for a no tax rate increase bond issue. In November, we then held a work session presenting an overall demographic study and a long-range facility master plan in partnership with Hollis Miller to the board and the public. At the January 15th board meeting, the board voted to approve the facility master plan. An April 2027 election was thought to be the targeted date for both items to come to the voters within the Francis Howell School District. With this change in law, the district is faced with reevaluating that timeline. Our current options are move the ballot initiatives to August 2026, place the ballot initiatives on the November 2026 ballot, or move the initiatives back to the November 2028 ballot. Administration will be formally recommending to the board at a future meeting to take these two initiatives, a debt service levy transfer, this is a no tax increase measure, and a no tax increase bond issue to the voters in November of 2026. Waiting until November of 2028 potentially increases the cost for the same projects, as there will undoubtedly be inflationary measures that take place during those 2 years. Additionally, administration considered the August 2026 election as an option. Senate Bill 1002 is set to take effect on August 28th. The August election is set for August 4th, making it the last election cycle prior to the new law taking effect. While August is a fully valid option for us and would allow the district to capture funds a full year earlier if the measure was successful, administration is not recommending this option, and here is why. Within the House, a legislator indicated that in the past, bond issues were placed on the ballot and districts would not inform the public of these measures in St. Charles County. It was stated that our people, I'm not sure who our people are, were then sent to the polls to pass it under the nose of the general public, people in St. Charles County. Our district has and will continue to respect the will of the voters, having discussions at the October, November, January, April, and May board meetings, as well as a 3-hour-long work session on May 7th, demonstrates transparency to the community about our needs and our future initiatives. With that being said, we certainly want to respect the spirit of the newly created law, and we'll use the additional time between now and November to further educate our community about our needs and our intentions, while maintaining transparency with our community and our legislatures. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Blair, for conversation.
Thank you for sharing that. Board, any comments or questions about what Superintendent Delaney just shared?
I want to make sure, if we were operating like any other school in the state, we would probably wait till April. But that choice was taken away from us.
That is correct. So from the very beginning, when Brent Blevins first came to the district, that was the thought of the district, was April 2027 would be the appropriate next step to apply both of those measures.
And the two levies that you want to do not increase taxes in any way. It's just we need permission to spend the money that way.
That is correct. So the debt service levy transfer allows us to move a few pennies from one fund to another fund. And it allows us to move it into operation so we can use that for teacher salaries, other things along those lines. And the no tax increase bond issue is exactly that, a no tax increase bond issue that was tied to our long range facility master plan that we worked in conjunction with Hollis Miller to develop.
So we can't do what Rockwood, Parkway, or even Wright City.
We can't do what I believe 116 other counties are allowed to do.
114.
114, thank you.
So we're it's 113 in us.
Just confirm it.
Because we're special.
Other questions?
Yeah, just for clarification, how much of a tax increase will these two measures be?
They are no tax increase measures, both of them.
So both of them are no tax increase?
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was 100% clear.
Yes, I appreciate the transparency, Director Adams.
You're welcome, Superintendent Delaney.
I just wanted to clarify. You said no tax increase.
I believe
That is
that's what you
correct.
said.
Other questions? So for the public, just let you know, we can pull the levers that we can pull to make sure we provide the best public education for all students. And these are two of the levers that we have, and St. Charles County alone is confined to only certain days to pull these levers to respond to the needs of the district. And so we will have a conversation, potentially at the next board meeting, maybe the one after that, and we will discuss the formality to formalize the possibility of doing this unless something else changes. There's a possibility that the governor could veto Senate Bill 1002, which would open up April 2027 as an option. But the important thing is, today, by not making an action, we are deciding to not put this on the August 2026 ballot. So we're all in awareness and agreement to that. Yes. Any other questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Delaney. All right. So agenda item 13A is a first reading on policies and regulations. These policies and regulations will be brought back to the June 4th meeting and a second reading and vote. Many of these changes are just operational changes, changing the name from one person to another. But please, everybody take a chance to read it. Everything's in front of the public for your visibility and for your awareness. Board have a motion to approve Regulation 1450 as presented. Vice President Greider.
Second.
Director Adams. This regulation is being brought forward for a first and second reading and vote due to the addition of number 17 and renumbering of closed session agenda items. Number changes are being made in response to changes to the statute made by the Attorney General's office, and numbering has been verified through the Attorney General's office. Any questions, board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. That motion passes. Board, this is agenda item 15. I have a motion to approve the policies and regulations as presented. Vice President Greider.
Second.
Director Adams. These policies and regulations are being brought back for a second reading and vote. They were brought forward at the April 16th, 2026 meeting for a first reading. Any comments, board? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Board, I have a motion to approve the curriculum documents as presented.
So moved.
Director Adams, Vice President Greider. 13 curriculum documents were presented for a first reading at the April 16, 2026 board meeting. They are being brought back to this meeting for a second reading and votes. Any comments? Just a full awareness, there's a full curriculum committee that goes through this and puts a lot of energy and effort into it. So thank you for those on that committee to present this for the board approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Next, board, we have a presentation on fiscal year 27 budget development, general and special funds. Deputy Superintendent of Finance and Operations, Dr. Amy St. John, will present.
Yes, thank you for having me back again. I just would like to share with you, this is an ongoing series that really began in November of 2025 when I brought the first of the capital planning process to the board, and then sequentially you go through each of the pieces that become the very large budget that's going to come to you on June 4th. And so I would encourage you just to kind of go back over that maybe between now and June 4th if you want to refresh, or I'll be bringing all those parts and pieces together all in one when I come back once again. This particular night I'll be talking about the general fund and the sub-funds, as well as the special revenue, and it's also known as the teacher fund. So this is just a reminder that the 4 funds that exist in Missouri statute for school finance here in Missouri, and we have to place the funds as they are through that levy, and then this is how we have to code them as we go through. And again, you can see that debt service is over to the side, has to always be separate, has to always have its own bank account. And the last thing that we just talked about, that debt service levy, meaning that some of the money that would go in there would actually go into operating, which would be funds 1 and 2, just to have a visual for what we just talked about. As I mentioned today, we're talking about the general fund and the teacher fund, so that's going to be funds 1 and 2. And it's really for you to have a good understanding of where we sit today in the budget that we're in. And so when I come back and I start to say this is where we're budgeting for, so when I show you the trajectory chart each month, it really gives you a rolled up view of all of this information. And this is more of seeing it and a broken down view. And so this is the revenue by object, and we've talked about the local is the largest, so that's at 68.5%. And then our state funds are coming in at about 26.8%, and then our fewest really are federal and county funds at 3.7 and 1%. The state and local, as we mentioned before, is 95% of the revenue, so that's why we talk about it the most, because it is the largest amount of revenue that we receive. Then when we look at the expenditure side, as we've talked about most of the night tonight, our salaries and our benefits are the 2 largest expenditures. And so when I talk to you about supplies and purchase services, as I'm holding those at 0% change for next year, that's a help to the process, but you can see it's a very small part of the pie. And so you only get so much of the pie, and you have to decide where you're going to utilize those dollars. And this gives you a nice visual representation of what that looks like. Then we'll go into each of the breakdown of the salary by object code. So when we talk about salaries, teachers have to come out of a certain code, and classified folks have to come out of a certain code. And so this is just a breakdown of how that information goes together. And in sum total, you can see that the teachers make up the regular salaries, make up the largest, or the certified staff, I should say, make up the largest portion of this, where classified staff are a smaller percentage of this pie. This also includes supplemental pay, which would be things like stipends, substitutes for the classroom, and then a breakdown of our administrators, as well as our instructional aid salaries. Then looking at benefits broken down, over the last several weeks or months, I've explained to you how that it's about $58 million that sets in what we call benefits. However, only half of that is anything that you kind of have jurisdiction over, because the other half is taxation. So you can see that now broken down by teachers' retirement, FICA, Medicare. There's nothing that we can do, that you have to pay those pieces. But that employee insurance, which is that 6241, coming in at about $28 million, that's the number that we affected tonight. So that's the one that will be lower next year because of those decisions, and it's bringing those costs down for us. Then when we look at purchase services, this is everything that you might think of in terms of if you hire a person to do a service like a consultant, but it's really more than that. It actually outlines audit services, legal services, election costs, other professional services, all the way down to trash removal, working, if anybody travels, our own property insurance, liability insurance, and that. And so you can see this broken down. And again, this is a number that we're trying to hold constant to for next year. And so that's going to come in close to that 28 million on the next budget that we have. And then supplies are broken down over in the right-hand corner there. So that's general supplies, what you would think of paper, pencil, and that type of a thing. It's also going to be where instructional technology is going to be, textbooks, library books, the electric bills, gas, natural, diesel, and other supplies that come out of that are also broken down into the supply category. And with that, I conclude your budget update for the month. Yes. Any questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Up next, we have our Executive Director of Facilities, Lynn Stutzer, that will present the quarterly construction update.
All right, thank you again, Board. I'm going to breeze right through this, so I appreciate the opportunity to provide an update regarding bond and capital projects. So we'll jump right into it. Same cadence. I won't cover the timeline slide. That's there for your review in terms of what tells the story that needs to be told to get us to the point where we're talking about the project. So over at Fairmount, this is the exterior of the building. It is done. From a masonry standpoint, the roof system's all on, windows are in, the building's what we call weather tight. You can see the image on the left there. There's still some seating and strawing that needs to be done around the building. And then on the right, the paving, the paving is done. You'll see it here in the next slide. But overall, the exterior of the building is really starting to take shape. All the sidewalks are poured and looks good. This is interior. Again, there's a total of what I'll call 10 spaces, 3 music, 3 art, 3 sped, but 2 of those classrooms are actually going to be utilized for the full-day pre-K program that the board has supported at 3 sites going into next year. And then we have a vacation station area for before and after school programming. So on the left here is the music classroom. On the right is an art classroom. Furniture was just installed early this week, actually late last week. So everything's in. We're still working on a few miscellaneous things with the building staff. As I referenced earlier, the parking lot is now paved. If you recall, there used to be a parking lot on this side of the building, but we took over that parking lot to be able to build the addition, so we had to replace that parking that was lost due to the building addition. And so I think there's a total of about 45 parking spots. We were able to grow that a little bit, which will help Fairmount as it's, from an enrollment standpoint and a staffing standpoint, our largest elementary. And then to the right there is the generator that will serve the building in the event of a power loss during, it is a tornado shelter. I just want to remind the board that the addition is a tornado shelter, and part of that requirement is you have to have backup power in the event that you lose power. These are the boys and girls restrooms. So as you can see, all the partitions are done, all the fixtures, plumbing fixtures are in, and we've got some, the cardboard's actually up right now. We had that down just to help protect the floor while we were finishing up some odds and ends in there. Moving over to transportation fuel island and bus maintenance facility. Again, this is just the forward slide. Here's the exterior of that building, courtesy to Hollis & Miller. They had some, these photos are courtesy of Hollis & Miller. They had a professional team come out and take some professional photos, and were kind enough to share those with the district for our use. And so this is the exterior of the building. We're very pleased with how that's turned out. I know in visiting with our Director of Transportation, Mr. Brian Broom, who's here this evening, they actually got to do state inspections in the new facility. I was teasing him that we'll take credit for another 100% passing because of the facility, but no, his team does a wonderful job with maintaining our fleet, and we're just pleased to be able to provide this facility for his team to be able to do that work inside. Historically, all of those inspections have been done in the elements outside. So it's really a tremendous facility for our transportation team. Again, this is actually about a week or so prior to the inspections. As you can see, these are pre-inspections that the team was able to pull 6 buses in at a time and do their pre-inspection checks. And so these 2 photos here are representative of that work. This is the fuel island. I wish I would have shared the before pictures of what the fuel island was. It's not even a comparison. So we basically had 1 pump and didn't have an overhang, so a canopy, I should say. And so our staff was consistently out in the elements trying to fuel buses. And so this is just a much nicer setup for them. It's all automated, so there's fobs that they use to be able to fuel. Gives Brian all the data that he needs from how many gallons, which bus. Again, that was also one of the recommendations in terms of just how we handle fuel from a security standpoint. As part of the third-party consultant, Westbrook made a recommendation in terms of we need to do a better job of tracking how we utilize that, and all of the infrastructure here provides that. This is where the old building sat. So the image on the left here is about 2 weeks ago. The building's down, and then the image on the right's about a week ago after we had some heavy rains. And so I'm highlighting that as you see in my typed out report from a program standpoint. There is some soil there that we need to remediate before we can pave over that. It's too saturated, so what happens is crews have to come in and they have to cut that soil out, turn it over, dry it out, put it back down and compact it. That way we can put the final surface, which is asphalt, on top of that. Failure to do that will just result in a poor subbase, and then it'll just sink and we'll have to tear it all back out. So been working with Superintendent Delaney in terms of our alignment of what that change order would look like. I just actually approved that today, and it'll get captured in next time we report out on bond. So that work's scheduled to take place. Obviously, it's been a really wet week this week as well. So that work will take place next week, and we hope paving will take place the week after that. Phase 2 HVAC improvements. I know Dr. St. John has mentioned this multiple times just in her work. Obviously, a majority of that work is going to kick off next Tuesday. We basically have roughly about $19 million worth of work. The full contract was, I think, about $23 million, but we just actually paid for the equipment, which was around $4.5 million. And so we've actually been working behind the scenes. There have been crews working after hours, coming in and doing the things that we can do in terms of running, communication wire for all the thermostats in the various places. And then the image there on the right, you can see we've got 2 new boilers and 2 old boilers. We kept those old boilers running here just because we've had changes in the weather. We needed to be able to provide heat in certain times, but here probably in the next week we'll decommission the old ones, and we've already installed the new ones, and we'll begin bringing those online. So a lot of work's been taking place with Phase 2 HVAC improvements behind the scenes, but we'll really get after it after school concludes tomorrow. Crews are off on Memorial Day next Monday, and they'll get after it on Tuesday. Again, just a reminder on Phase 2, our goal. I know we've been working with building leaders, and the questions have been, when is the project going to be completed? And by August 1 is substantial completion for the 6 bond sites, and then previously the board had approved a smaller capital project to do HVAC improvements at Meadows Parkway. Regular capital projects, really just one to highlight here. It was the bleacher replacement at Sager and Hollenbeck. If you recall, both sites, their bleachers were wooden. All of the frames and electrical components were original. We couldn't source parts to replace those. I think on average between the 2 sites, their systems were in service for about 28, 29 years. So I know Dr. Benke was here earlier, and historically what's happened at those two sites is you just wouldn't be able to hold a lot of events in there because it took an entire army, including students, to pull those out. So now this can be done with one person. All the motors and frames have been replaced. You plug in basically a controller. They hit a forward button, they hit a back button, and bleachers are out, and then bleachers are recessed to allow for instruction to take place. So again, this was Sager, and then this was Hollenbeck. I just took these pictures right after an assembly that they had. So what to look forward to, these are all pending projects. Some have been approved by the board, and some we still have to bring forward as we work through behind the scenes and bring individual recommendations. But a lot of positive things happening from a capital standpoint, and that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Do you have any questions?
Thanks for the update. I apologize, I probably should know the answer to this, but the transportation, maintenance, and fuel island, is that at the Howell location?
It's the same location it's been at. So if you recall, probably, I'd say 2 years ago, we consolidated. Transportation did operate out of 2 locations, but when district leadership moved into this building along with the union staff and district learning center staff, that freed up space at what we call 4545. And so prior to that, transportation team operated out of 2 mobile trailers on that campus. So we brought them inside into the vacated space from an administration standpoint, and at the same time we consolidated any staff that was out at what we call the 5 building on Howell High's campus. And so when we did that, they're all in one location now.
Gotcha. So all the transportation stuff is now gone from the Howell campus.
That is correct.
Cool. Thank you.
I just had one question. I couldn't tell when I was looking at the music rooms, were there acoustic panels on the walls? Or?
Yes, not on the walls. The application here is in the ceilings. So I'll go back to see if we can highlight that real quick. You should be able to see some cones out of the ceiling here. So these.
No, I can.
Okay, those serve as the acoustical value, provide the acoustical value for those spaces. So it's a ceiling application instead of the wall application, and sometimes that's dependent on the size of the space.
Very nice. The teacher won't get a headache.
No, they won't get a headache.
Not from that anyway.
Not those recorders, let me tell you.
Anything else?
Any other questions I can answer for the board?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, up next is Mr. Delaney with superintendent comments.
Thank you, President Blair. Board, as you're aware, we've had a pretty busy couple of weeks and full end-of-year celebrations and award nights. While our schools have been busy recognizing students, we've had the honor and privilege of celebrating 10 Hall of Fame inductees earlier this month, along with all of our Teacher of the Year and Support Staff of the Year winners. Just this past Monday, we recognized 88 retirees from across the district at the annual Ringing of the Bells ceremony. Collectively, this year's group of retirees had a dedicated and whopping 1,347 hours of service to Francis Howell. They have years of service. Did I say hours? Yeah, sorry, years. It's been a long week. They have made such an impact on our students, our families, colleagues, and on the district, and we wish them all well in their retirement. I want to specifically recognize one of those retirees for an award we just recently learned about. Ann McPartland was selected by the Foreign Language Association of Missouri to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award. This is one of the organization's highest honors, reserved for an educator who has devoted their entire career to the improvement of world language learning and student success. Ms. McPartland has served as a German teacher at Francis Howell North for 25 years, teaching all 5 levels of German each year. She has also taught German at middle schools that feed into North, both Barnwell and Hollenbeck. We're proud of Ann and grateful for her many years of dedicated service. Keeping with the celebrations, I want to congratulate Francis Howell Central's library team of Cassie Flores, Robin Heimberger, and Carrie Smith. which was recently honored with the 2026 Exemplary Library Program recognition from DESE. FHC has now received this statewide recognition for 4 straight years, highlighting its ongoing commitment to supporting students, teachers, the entire school community. Great work, Spartans. I'll end with just a few reminders. The annual stakeholder survey is open for 3 more days. We would love to have your feedback on what the district is doing well, how we can continue to improve. Check your email for a link to the survey. A reminder was sent yesterday morning. I'll also remind the community that we are accepting applications for the next cohort of our Popular Citizens in Our Schools program. It's a great opportunity to get a behind-the-scenes look at district operations. Participants journey through the program together over 9 months. This year, some of the sessions will be during the day, but most will be in the evening, and therefore should be accessible for working parents who want to participate in the program. You can find the application on the district website. Our last day of school is tomorrow, and it is an early release day for all students. Many of our summer school and summer camps begin June 1st, and that's a good reminder for our community at large. The district is not shut down over the summer. In fact, for many departments, summer is one of the busiest seasons as crews work to ready our schools and grounds for the next school year. I want to acknowledge and thank all the staff who will be working hard over the summer months to make sure we're in good shape for 26-27, which begins on Monday, August 24th. And finally, I want to thank all of our staff that have worked hard this year to help our students continue to learn and grow. Our teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals, and all support staff, members of our transportation department, play a vital role in assuring that all students are here safely and learning. It truly takes everyone. I want to thank you all. I hope you all have the time away this summer that have an opportunity to relax and spend quality time with your families. Those that support the organization in the summer, I'm hopeful that you will also find the time to take care of yourselves as well. Thank you, President Blair.
Thank you. Board, do you have any comments? Joe?
I know it's late and we have an after party, so I'll be quick. I just wanted to say that I have had a fantastic opportunity to attend multiple concerts and shows and things that are being done at the middle and the high school level since being elected. I'm a huge proponent of the arts, and I love the community that it provides those students, so please keep the invites coming. I'd love to attend as many as I can. With that said, I know that in the when school starts in the fall, it's sports season, and I'm looking forward to attending some sports at the different campuses. And also very excited to celebrate with our graduates at our 5 high schools, so looking forward to those days coming up. And finally, just to echo what Mr. Delaney said, thank you to our teachers and staff for everything that you've done this school year. Please have a fantastic summer, and the same to our students as well. Thank you.
Great.
Happy summer. Sorry, me. After tomorrow, become a parent of a high schooler, which is crazy to me. So I will become, once again, part of the Howell North community, not that I'm not already. So, and the parent of a 5th grader, which is insane. So thank you to all of our teachers for everything you've done this year. Everybody have a good summer. Students have a good summer. And I thoroughly enjoyed looking through the list of books that we have purchased. It was a long list, and I love it. I loved seeing all the suggestions. My daughter and my son loved seeing all the suggestions, so we're looking forward to the summer reading program at the library. That's all.
I just want to say, again, thank you to all of the teachers and staff who show up every day and do everything that you do in this district. I am in absolute awe of the enormity of everything that goes on in this district. It is mind-boggling. It's a lot, but it's amazing. So thank you. And congratulations to our seniors who are graduating this year. I'm so excited to celebrate with you at all of your ceremonies again. So, yay.
I just want to say thank you to Mr. Delaney and the entire staff for working through some very difficult financial situations affecting our district. I know that votes and decisions rely on us, but thank you for our support and information. And if you're like me and you really like school, take heart that tomorrow's the last day, but it's only 95 days until the first day of school. August 24th.
Just one quick thing. I went to the START program over at Central Elementary, where I attended school for 3 years as a child. By the way, it's a different building. And it just hit me the beauty of the diversity of all the students. And they were so well behaved. I was like, what is happening here? And then I thought, is it because of Officer Mack that was up there? Does he command that, that kind of respect? And they loved him, and he's retiring, and they were all sad. But it was beautiful, and they all turned around and sang a song to us. So I was thrilled. It was beautiful. And I really appreciate the work they're doing there to keep kids away from things that hurt them. The essays, I could have cried because they told personal stories of their lives, and it was not pretty. But this program is helping them to come out of that, and I hope it stays with them. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Board. Tonight, my board comment is going to be different than in past board comments. Tonight, I want to share a board comment that is on behalf of the board and administration. On behalf of the board and administration, I want to publicly address a situation that has been playing out on social media for months. As some of you know, a middle school English teacher, Elisa Tomlinson, has been the subject of negative and critical comments by a parent who objects to the teacher's classroom library materials and class assignments. While the district does not have control over social media posts made by parents or community members on their own platforms, we do have the ability to clarify misinformation. With that in mind, we think it is important for you to know that the district has found no indication that Ms. Tomlinson engaged in any misconduct or violation of board policy with respect to her classroom library, class assignments, or other matters. Additionally, a recent post stated that Ms. Tomlinson resigned. This is not accurate. She remains employed by the district. Sadly, this is not the only instance of members of our community being targeted on social media. Multiple teachers and staff have been publicly criticized this school year. In addition, children of staff have been publicly identified and targeted on social media. This behavior is not okay. It does not reflect who we are as a community. And as we conclude this year and look forward to the next, I invite us all to thoughtfully consider the examples that we, as adults, are setting for our children. Issues will come up. We are a large organization, and that is to be expected. It is important to know how to respond when they do. Our job as the board is to hear your concerns as patrons, as parents and patrons. We ask that you address issues first with the appropriate building administrator, then the superintendent, and finally with the board if the issue is not resolved. Of course, if your concern involves the classroom instruction or dynamics of your child in a particular room, we ask you to raise such issues with the classroom teacher first. We ask that you do not attack our teachers and staff, particularly in a public forum. We ask that you recognize the impact that such actions have on their mental health and on their ability to show up with their best selves for our students. Teaching is a difficult job. It's often thankless, and the compensation is not nearly enough. But teachers teach because they know they can make a difference. It is a calling, not just a profession. We need more caring and dedicated teachers in the world, and not less. Let's not drive them away. As a parent, I hold high expectations for my children, and I'm confident you do as well. Let's hold ourselves as adults and parents to those same high standards. Our kids are watching, and the board is united in saying that what has happened is not okay. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate you being involved in the work of the school district. I appreciate the three non-staff members here cheering us on from. I appreciate you all being there. Appreciate you all watching. The very best days of the Francis Howell School District are ahead of us. We are stacking hands. We are making hard decisions. We are involved in financial stewardship. We're involved in supporting teachers and staff and setting a vision on what we're going to be in the year 2030. I am glad to be able to work on that with the rest of you board members and admin and teachers and staff together and the public. Francis Howell is a wonderful place to raise a family, have kids attend schools, to teach, to be a staff member, a para, and you're all the reasons why. I hope you all have a fantastic summer, however that might look for you based upon your job, and may you know that you are supported. May you know that you are supported by the people who sit in front of you. Board, I have a motion to adjourn open session and return to closed. Vice President Greider?
Second.
Director Owens? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you all for being here tonight.